And good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 6 of season 21 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. My name is Tim Gobe. Joining me in the comms box today on the camera is the one, the only Glenn Germain. And commentating with me today is Cameron Thistlethwaite. How are you, Cameron? Oop. Cameron! It looks like Cameron might be having some kind of technical difficulty. We'll introduce him once he's back, as someone already knocks out the infamous tire barrier at the chicane. But currently looking at Lufty, exciting racing ahead of us today on Donington Park. Random conditions today, but so far seems like it is dry, as these drivers right now are on their out lap. So we will not be seeing any time yet, as they're slowly backing up, building some space, as looks like Lufty probably looking to follow Lucas Keys, maybe seeing his line, maybe trying to get a banker of a lap in that beautiful Fruit Bowl GTR, but he does not want to get too close to him, obviously. But we will see. Lucas, obviously, very quick driver, and it looks like we don't have Pip. I did see Pip practice, but it's looking like Pip is not racing today, so that's one less threat to Lucas. But yeah, that exciting track, fantastic circuit. This very, very high-speed corners. You've really got to send the car into these corners to find the time, and even the chicane. It's not like most chicanes where you slow down a lot and then basically take the chicane. Nah, you're basically sending it on that one. So this is going to give us some very fun racing. Crossing my fingers, I do want to see a bit of wet. But we may or we may not get it. We do have 2 other splits. Well, one more split today and then split red tomorrow. So hopefully one of those do have wet conditions. But we will start seeing some bankers coming in. I think the first car going through is going to be, if I'm correct, the 992 of Wesley Yao. Currently leading the pack as we'll get our first lap. And apparently, yes, it is Wesley with a 27, but Lele with a 26, and Lucas already in the 25s. He's already flying. He's not taking any prisoners. He just wants to show everybody, yep, I'm the fastest here. I'm just going to throw a 25.9 as my banker, and I've got more in the bag from where that came from. Now, Lupti ends up behind Hignett here, so I'm wondering if Lufty himself did do a bit of a mistake, but Hignett as well not putting in his first banker, so it looks like they invalidated it. He goes very wide onto the grass there. That is not the optimal line, but still 8 minutes and 20 seconds of this session to go. They still have time to set in their bankers. It's not the end of the world, so let's see what Hignett has in the tank. But so far, so good. We've already got a 25.9. I was not expecting this tonight. I was expecting a low 26 from Lucas, but a 25.9 on his first lap is flying. So let's see what else he has in the tank, as we're still with Hignett as he goes through the S's, turn 9 and 10, as now as they go to the Melbourne hairpin.
Should be back now. Hello?
Oh, welcome back. So we now have Cam back with us in the comments box. How are you, Cam?
I do very much apologize for that. Steel Series wanted to throw a spanner my way, but yeah, thank you very much for covering there, Gobby. Gonna be relying on your energy all night long, and I'm just gonna be your prop man. But lovely to be here, well, lovely to be commentating on Donington, though I wish I was out there right now in my previous split.
Yeah, I might have a lot of hype and everything, but I will admit you have much more knowledge in this than I do. But yeah, should be fun. I'm looking forward to the racing.
Yeah, we all Yeah, we got to know our strengths and weaknesses, and doesn't mean we can all improve. As Bill Stein, McLaren there comes to a stop, but yeah, very rapid qualifying already. Not surprising to see Lucas Keys on top. I was so looking forward to this circuit when this calendar was announced along with Snetterton. Yes, I'm one of those people, but it should be great to see. It's a very fast track. It's not the easiest track for. Well, actually, there's a few opportunities to overtake and come to race, but definitely a pretty rapid track. There's only pretty much the last sector, which is anything remotely slow. Everything's quite high speed otherwise. You see Kafil Slade now in the 560 Ferrari. This chicane is very crucial to get right and very punishing to get wrong with track limits. So it should be fascinating to see how the Ferrari driver gets along.
Yep, I've only found out a couple days ago actually with that chicane is as long as your wheels, your left side wheels obviously, and right side on the exit, your track limit is that AstroTurf for those inside wheels. If you do end up going on the grass a tiny bit, it will invalidate. I thought the track limits were the red and white curbing, but no, I was completely wrong. So if any of your wheels do end up touching the grass, it will invalidate your lap. So yeah, I found that out like a couple days ago. So let's see what these guys have.
Yep, and you're seeing Aaron Lee there, and the GTR freshly promoted to pro. Last round already within 1.5 tenths of Lucas Keys. The GTR is notoriously been quite strong ever since its update many moons ago, but it's this is one of its better circuits as well, as that's very wide but still valid. Gets away with it with carrying the momentum and the big pull up the hill, like this undulation. There's not really undulation, but as the hill kind of rises and crests, that's where cars like the GTR that got the power really have an advantage over many other cars here. I'm interested to see how that develops on. This is a very tricky corner, pretty much 2 corners in one, but it's with the rise and the crest, it really likes to unsettle the car just as you want to get the power down. Hopefully Mr. Aaron Lee is on a decent lap so far, matching his best, but doesn't get too close to the Ford Mustang up ahead, I believe, of Apreciado.
And if Aaron Lee keeps this up, he will also be in the 25, and perhaps if he still gains as he does, will jump Lucas Keys, but he does lose a bit of time on the exit of Melbourne here, but he's still 1.2 up, so he will still get close as he gains a lot of time for the final, the entry of the final hairpin, but loses a bit on the exit, but still up 0.16. So if, yep, Aaron Lee now with the fastest lap with a 25.905.
That's very, very impressive. And interesting to see how Lucas responds. You see a couple of McLarens up there, Lele and Barry as well. Been very fast drivers throughout this season in this split. And it's not a bad track for the McLaren. Doesn't necessarily have the giga grunt of the GTR and many other cars like my Bentley if it was out there, but it was goes pretty well. As you see Lucas getting the very much optimum line, going as wide as possible and straight lining the last corner as much as it can for the run down to turn 1, which is quite a deceptive braking zone, as you kind of want to go out as wide as possible to open up the entry, but you do have to make sure you don't get the braking just right as you are sliding, as he does show up as an invalid lap but equal on this delta, but it is a valid lap so far. Be interested to see. Obviously it'll be come race day. Oh, he gets so close to the grass on the entry, but frankly he doesn't know more than that. Runs wide on the exit as well, but he does well to carry the momentum, and it's worth cutting as long as he doesn't get a bounce. And coming now into this next series of corners, I mean, just see how he responds. He's kind of not finding too much time, loses a little bit on the exit. And Lucas will know best where he has got time in the bag.
Yeah, it's also his, well, not his first banker, but his first banker since he came out the pits. So obviously tires won't be up to temps. So he's still gaining time. He's gained some time there through the chicane. So there's definitely is a lot of time for him to find. Let's see what he can do through the 2 hairpins on the final sector. And obviously through Melbourne hairpin, he does gain a bit there, but loses it all on exit, but he's still equal. He still has 1 more corner to go, so let's see what he can do here. And looks like he abandons this lap in particular and just sets up for another lap.
Yeah, it's a very good point you made about the tire warm-up. Generally, you know, the first lap it can be quick, but it's not really when the tires are at its best. Lucas opting for a bit of a shorter turn and not to use all the exit on all the entry. Cut to Sean Lele. heading down into the S's right now. We'll be interested to see how they take the curb. So you want to pretty much be, as I said, cutting that tire bundle, which is why it generally flies off the first lap and not too far on the exit, because I believe if you go right up to the edge of the Astro, at least last time I drove it at Donington Park, on the exit on the right part of the chicane, it can invalidate sometimes. So you know there is some liberty there, but who knows how much with Kunos things. It's going to catch Ben Hignett, but it looks like he's going to get away with things, tucking in behind Aaron Lee in the GTR.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's looking like there is quite a bit of traffic. Yellow Honda gets out the pits, almost gets out of the way of Lele, and unfortunately, that is the fastest way to get to enter T1 is to get really wide, and you're basically in the pit exit to get the optimal entry into T1. So people exiting pits, and I'm wondering during the race how that's gonna play out, because obviously it's random conditions, so it could be dry at the start and wet halfway through, so we may see some pit stops here for this race, and I'm wondering what's going to happen on pit exit, if we're perhaps going to see some kind of incidents. Obviously, the car in that exiting the pits will have right of way for that specific part of the track, so I'm interested to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, generally this is one of the rounds where they have the race directors have a little bit of a talking to, just to kind of point out the somewhat hazardous nature of the exit of the pit lane. I think it's not necessarily too hazardous. I think it is on the it's on the car racing on the racing line. It should really be aware of any cars coming out the pits, because there's literally nowhere else for them to go. So they're not obliged to get out the way just because they're exiting pits. Saw Benjamin Hignett there park up already, so he is done. He's going to be 5th at best. A very good lap from Wesley Yao, only 4.5 tenths off the leaders in the silver class. A very good lap from him. Saw Lucas Keys now get a good run through that chicane. He had a bad run. He kind of got the bounce. He kind of went a bit too deep, and that's why you kind of got to hold a little bit of restraint, because he lost a huge amount of time, but gains a whole bunch of time this time around through the Melbourne hairpin, and now up to the Gollards, the final corner. It's a horrible corner in my opinion. It's just going to well supplant him for pole position, nearly 3 tenths up, bleeding up to 2.5, and we'll see what the time is. It's going to be a 25.7 for Lucas Keys there. And Aaron Lee and Lele are already parked up, so no improvement from them. Glory Babby not improving on his lap either. Currently dead set even on his Delta, so maybe he'll shift a little bit, but I doubt he'll make a position. No, same for P4 for the Bill Stein McLaren.
You know what? That was very, very close for Lucas. He only had the last lap to do it, so not gonna lie, was kind of hoping for Aaron Lee to get that P1. Obviously, we've seen since the beginning of this season that Aaron Lee had insane pace, got promoted up to pro, and rightfully so. It's not easy to do a 25-year, and he's one of the only 2 drivers that's actually managed to do it, so props to him on that one.
Yeah, Aaron's been very, very quick all season. I've seen it from the comm booth, seen it from on track as well, and yeah, it's been quite frustrating, because we know how difficult it is to get past the GTR as well. We'll be interested to see how he is able to take the start with the Aston Martin, notoriously bogging down with its large turbo spools in the V8 twin turbo, whereas the GTR tends to get a bit off the line a lot better, and as well as it has a better acceleration coming down to turn 1. But it is a short run. I'll be interested to see. I think it's quite a late start as well at this track, when they get the green flag. So I'll be interested to see how he goes to turn 1. Lucas is going to have to keep wits about him, and Aaron Lee's going to have to watch really for Lele up the inside, because being on the outside is very, very vulnerable here at turn 1.
I reckon Aaron Lee will have the jump on Lucas at the start here, especially in the GTR. And yeah, the Aston notorious to have a bit of lag on race start, so it's not the best car for that. But after that, it's actually quite a fantastic car at Donington. It feels really nice to drive.
Absolutely so, and Lucas knows it back to front. It's where all the corners. And it's a very, very competitive car right now as well. You see how the two McLarens get on behind him with Benjamin Hignett as well. Wesley Yao makes up P6, Josh Vediger in P7 for the Ford Mustang. Chris Taylor in the Honda, and Brian Kong and Stephen Time make up the fifth row for our top 10. So a little bit of a smattering of pros out there. Great to see people like Jaden Rondinella and Saxon Hayes out there. Saxon, I believe, our only Audi driver now that Kafil Slade's jumped ship as well. And it's the more I look at this, the more I'm going, I'm not there. I'm going to keep repeating it because it's I'm still hurting.
And just look at that. The top 16 is just filled with pros and silvers here. Literally split SRO. In this split, if you're one of those pro-am or even am drivers, anything over a top 20, I think they will be very happy about.
Absolutely as well. Just a note on the championship, it is Philippa Bakita still leading overall on 608 points. Only 16 points behind them though is Lucas Keys. So with Philippa not here, Lucas is pretty surefire to take over the lead of the championship, providing he doesn't have the worst race of all time. But you know, stranger things have happened.
And she's also missed a few races. She did not race Netherton. And she had brake pedal issues at Silverstone, so that means that she would have already had her drop round, so she will have 2 rounds at the very least with 0 points, which definitely helps Lucas in the championship battle here.
Yeah, Lucas's worst rounds are two rounds where he's scored 134 points. That shows his level of consistency right now.
I've said this many times, but consistency is key in racing. You could be the best hot lapper in the world. If you can't keep it together in a race, you might as well be a terrible hot lapper.
Absolutely. So, spitting some facts from Tim Goeb, silver driver.
I'm looking at you, John. No shade, no shade.
Definitely shade. You can't say no shade. You can't throw shade and say no shade.
It's my best friend. It's my brother. It's all out of love. As the cars are currently out on a formation. That's obviously that great. I'm not even sure how many cars we have here. It looks like we have over 30 cars once more for Split Yellow. So Split Yellow obviously still going strong and healthy, so that's always good to see.
Absolutely. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see how things go. I'll leave you with final notes before we go on the grid, before we get started. What's your prediction? Safety car, Tim?
I reckon they're gonna keep. I know it's a tight track, but I reckon it's gonna be pretty clean. There might be a couple taps here and there. Maybe someone goes off track, but I don't quite think it's gonna be safety car. But anyways, I'm gonna hand it over to you for race start.
Yep. We're going on dry and pretty fair conditions. No threat of rain at all, despite being in the UK. 5 p.m. local time, so we might get a little bit of sunset, beautiful as the planes fly over to the Sheffield power plant in the distance. Around the final corner, and there's going to be Lucas Keys from Aaron Lee, dead set. Lucas is going to have the inside line. You have to watch those two McLarens starting in the second row. It'll be waiting. Race start has initialized, and it's a late start as always, and it'll be green flag already. And it is quite a late start. Not the greatest start from Aaron Lee. He's fallen back a little bit. It's going to be under threat from Lele. He's trying to hold it around the outside, and it is 2x2 into turn 2 now. But it looks like Lele has edged ahead and is going to have the inside line as they fall into formation as Babby falls down to P5 now, and Benjamin Hignett up into P4 as going into the old hairpin. Looks like Kafil Slade there. I apologize. No, that's Eshan Lele getting up into no one, but side by side from the McLaren and the Ferrari in the background. So it's Brian Kong and Nicholas Brownette. It's a great start from Brownette all the way up, but oh no, Josh Vediger, one of our key drivers, already in the wall to find himself all the way out there. There's definitely been contact, and hopefully rejoins nice and safely and does get away with everything, but all the way at the back of the grid. But great start from Lucas Keys now, already with a commanding lead, going to be going into the S's so far, but it is going to be Lele from Lee, Hignett, Babby, Wesley Yao and Brownette to make up our top 7 7, Kong, Ty, and McDowell, the rest for top 8. Bad run there from Ben Higner, and it's going to give Glory Babby the opportunity to retake his qualifying position. He dives up the inside. Big Higner tries to break it late, but goes way too wide and is ultimately going to lose the position and fall back even further towards Wesley Yao there, as Brownett and Kong are still fighting in the background, side by side out of Melbourne Hairpin, with Brownett having the advantage in the McLaren.
Yeah, that was a pretty good start. A couple incidents here and there. Bit bummed out for Joshua Vediger, and it does look like that Mustang does have some front-end damage as well. So we may see a pit stop coming from them, but apart from that, that was a pretty clean start.
Yeah, car 999 already in the pits there as well. Did have a brief yellow from car 2, which is Azanyake, I believe, in the Aston Martin towards the back. Very wide there from Nicholas Brownett, already kind of losing a bit of a drive, and it is that uphill battle, so it's going to be a very struggle for him to see if he holds on to that position. Chris Taylor now has fallen back a little bit. I believe he was qualified in the top 10 just about, and he's fallen back and going to be under threat a little bit from Jaden Rondinella. He got Luke Johnson to behind him as well, so Jenna can't afford to daddle too much. He's going to be under threat from the Ferrari. I mean, he is under threat from the Ferrari. It's no contest about it. But interesting to see that we don't have Brad Cook here, the other Honda that we're used to seeing. We're seeing a Florida Stephen Ty also jumping into NSX. Oh, Luke Johnson's going to go for a move, I reckon.
Yeah, but Jaden does close off the inside, but does give Johnson the space. But obviously the GTR and exit is just giga quick at the Ferrari. Another one of those cars where it's got good top end. We have another Ferrari spun around there. I think that was the Ferrari of Brian Kong. Yeah, they now have to drop down the order, and that's not the... Obviously crashing is not ideal, but obviously rejoining there is a bit sketchy. But looks like they've managed to make it back on track in P19.
Yeah, there's definitely contact in that one as well. Looks like Dylan McDowell is also on the threat from Kafil Slade, and going to have Saxon Hayes as well. Oh, the Honda already having a big moment and losing it all by himself, I believe. And the 17 finds the gravel, formerly the tarmac. But looked like he had a little bit of a sideways moment coming into the braking zone. But I'm not sure if he had damage as well, but he's going to have to wait a long time for everyone to kind of rejoin. But that's really, unfortunately, ruined his race.
Yeah, I talked about Brian Kong not being in the ideal spot for a rejoin, but that was pretty much a lot worse, as he did end up stopping the car right where all the other cars drive on exit of that high-speed corner. So he basically lost all his positions there. Now he's at the very, very back end of the field. So Chris Taylor has a lot of work cut out for him, as we see 3 cars running into each other there. That looked like the McLaren just slowed down a lot more than that Honda driver was expecting, and that also caused that Ferrari to rear end that Honda in particular. But I don't think much is going to happen with that one. But yeah, now that's pretty big moments already for only being 5 minutes in the race, as that Honda goes side by side with the McLaren. I think that's the McLaren of Brownett, if I'm not wrong. So that will be the Honda of Stephen Ty going side by side. That's a sketchy place to be going side by side. But so far they're keeping it clean. You know, they're racing hard. That's what these guys love to do. So stuff like this tends up happening, especially on such a tight track like this.
Yeah, it's very sketchy into the old hairpin. Looks like there's a bit of a train obviously forming behind Brownett. You're not saying he has the pace, but I think he's got a lot of very quick people around him. Stephen Ty is no slow operator right now. And he looked like he did have a pretty commanding move into turn 1, but that's the problem. When you try to arrest the speed too much, you don't really get the drive out of it, which the McLaren driver took advantage of. He's also still going to have Kafil Slade right behind him as well, so just to see how he responds. Good run through the Melbourne through the S's, and gonna close up to the McLaren, but definitely going to be too far back to make a move from there. But yeah, a little bit of Constantine effect that we saw last race, last lap around here at the Melbourne hairpin, and a little bit of I don't think there's going to be anything more coming of that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens from the first few. Because there was definitely, I reckon there must have been some incidents with either Joshua Vediger with the Ford Mustang on turn 1, because you don't find that wall by losing control, that's for sure. As Steven Tai gonna look to the inside again, but he's just gonna have no run unless he forces Brownette to go so well. He has a bad exit. Gets a bit of a better exit. He'll put a Honda, but not enough to take advantage. Kafil Slade is right there in the Ferrari as well. We saw the other Honda come unstuck there. He's going to have a nose in there, but it's really not a passing opportunity. It's kind of a scare tactic, if anything. And it has worked a little bit on Brownette as he goes a little bit wide and also tries to shove the nose a little bit into the Starkseys Bridge, but it's really not on right now, and trying every opportunity to get past the McLaren. And everyone's arriving on scene now. The whole family's here, ready to take advantage of Nicholas Brownette, but not in a weird way.
Just look how close these cars are to each other. This is exactly what we want to see. They're basically 4 cars bumper to bumper. This is some exciting racing. As you see in the background, we've also got an Audi. I think it's the Audi of I forgot his name. Saxon Hayes. The Audi of Saxon Hayes also getting involved in this little train over here. But this is some fantastic racing for being 8 minutes into the race, as we do have a replay of that is the Brian Conginson. So
that was Brownette.
Did end up pitting Brian Kong a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does get an invoice for that, but does go very wide for the final hairpin, and that's move done for Steven Tai. But let's see how he can reply to that in T1. But it looks like Steven Tai is ahead enough to keep it ahead. But as I say that, it looked on the inside and takes out Steven Tai. That is a bit naughty from the McLaren. Really did not want to lose that position, but he's definitely getting an invoice for that one.
Yeah, that's very much losing your head. He lost a position, frustration probably in from the McLaren driver on the last corner. Tries to make it all back up on the first corner. I don't think Steven Tai broke early or anything like that. He just did the line. He had the McLaren couldn't go for it, but you know, if you're gonna go for it, don't put half a bumper up there and spin the car ahead. You know, and unfortunately, I think that's gonna be invoice number 2 pending for the aforementioned Nicholas Brownette.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but what has happened. He's now, well, they've now both got a lot of passing to do to get back to where they were, especially for Brownette. He's most likely gonna get at least 25 seconds of penalties, I reckon. So he's got his work cut out for him, and probably hoping he doesn't need to do any kind of pit stops in this race. As we're now with Kafil Slade. Yeah, the one car that did benefit from all of this is Kafil Slade, because he just gained 2 free positions from that. So I know 2 drivers are going to be quite upset with what happened, but I know at least one is going to be very happy with that outcome.
I do feel for Steven Tai. You can see, we were watching him for many laps just trying to get a move done, and he did get it done due to a mistake from the McLaren, and then only to get one, not even a corner later, to command that position over the McLaren, and only to be come all undone. And it's yeah, that's bitterly frustrating, I can only imagine. Just a note on the start as well, looks like Aaron Lee, I believe I saw him, he did fall back from, he was P3 behind Lele, he did fall back behind Babby and Hignett, but it looks like has regained a position ahead of Benjamin Hignett in the 471 Ferrari. But it looks like they're also close, well, these 2 are close, but the rest of them are all scarpering away. A little bit of a, you can see on the track map that Lucas Key's already a big lead over Lele, and Babby maybe kind of closing in a little bit on their fellow McLaren, but everything from 560 downwards is definitely closed up a lot, but might start to spread out now that the aforementioned head of the train is gone.
Yeah, it seems like that Aaron Lee is perhaps struggling a bit with that GTR and full fuel. Maybe it's not handling the way he wanted, but he has lost 2 positions so far since the start of the race, and you know, he still has Hignett on his rear bumper, so he's not in the clear yet. He's got to defend against Hignett. Obviously, Hignett also another very fast driver, and he's gonna be pressuring that GTR into a mistake to get into P4, but they're gonna have to start pressing on the gas pedal, as we see Aaron Lee currently 4 seconds behind Babby, as Hignett goes very wide, slides, but manages to keep it on track. So he's obviously pushing into catching the GTR, but let's see where that battle brings us.
Yeah, I think there's a few more incidents going on, particularly at the last corner. I did see a replay now. So Hignett goes into the S's. I think this is when I did catch it. He catches the bump on the ground. Does an excellent job to hold on to the slide as he finds the gravel almost on the exit as well from the entry. And obviously very easily done there from Aaron Lee to get past. But wow. Yeah, that's I mentioned it before with Lucas Keys getting a little bit of bump if you are a little bit too egregious. As car 2 gets a drive-through for a collision on lap 1. That is Atanyake. That must be a serious moment to get a drive-through for a collision. That is not something we usually see. Car 248 getting a 15-second penalty for causing a collision. That is Nicholas Brownett on lap 2. I believe that was the contact for Brian Kong. And that one we did see with the replay. Thank you to Glenn for that one.
Yeah, and that's probably another one coming his way.
So that wasn't even the collision. There was another drive-through for causing a collision. So there must have been another incident on lap 2 for Mr. Brownett. Who knows? Quite frankly, I don't know what to say, Tim.
He's not had the best race so far. It's probably looking like for one to forget for Nicholas Brownett.
I don't want to guess too much, but we did see he was around that pack where Josh Vediger was, and we saw him spear off. I wonder if there might have been something else in that. Not to speculate too much, but that's the only incident I can think. No, sorry, that was lap 1, so ignore that, scratch that. Our commentator's wrong. Oh, Benjamin Ingrid. That's too much apex, too much entry, and he gets a nice bump and gets a bad run as well, but still kind of in firing distance from Aaron Lee. It looks like Aaron doesn't really have the pace that he had from quali.
Now, he got that drive-through for lap 2. I'm wondering if that was actually for lap 2, or if that was for the incident with Stephen Tai, because although race control did say lap 2, I reckon that drive-through came from that second incident. I don't think he got into 2 incidents in 1 lap, or maybe the stewards just decided to change their minds for that incident with Brian Kong, but that did not look like a drive-through worthy penalty. In my opinion, I am not a steward. So I think the drive-through came from the second incident with Stephen Tai. So that's probably race control just being a bit dodgy here.
Potentially, it is what is flagged up in the system, but it is definitely 2 separate incidents, that's for sure. It's no question of that. Maybe maybe we can have, if Diabolz is in chat, you can maybe clarify that. But either way, we thank all our stewards for their work, and fortunately they have been fairly busy here at the start.
Yeah, they have been pretty busy, but you know they've been busier in the past. They can handle these. Well, I want to see small incidents, not small incidents. They're pretty big incidents, but there just wasn't very many of them, and it was pretty obvious what happened. So not a lot of thinking to those penalties. It's obvious who was at fault and who wasn't. As Hignett's still on the rear of Aaron Lee, so even with the small mistakes Hignett makes here and there, he's still managing to catch up to Aaron Lee. So I think Aaron Lee's he had the quali pace, but I think his race pace is struggling just a little bit compared to, well, at least to Hignett.
Yeah, and it's something, like, just to clarify, obviously we have a 60-minute race with no mandatory stop right now, so it is thank you very much. Laps 2 and 6 penalty bot playing out. Thank you very much to our stewards for clarifying that, or our directors. We appreciate that. So lap 6, yeah, we're going to say that was definitely probably when Stephen Tai unfortunately found himself backwards. So yeah, definitely going to be a few penalty points for Mr. Brownett, to say the least, and a drive-through and the 15-second is going to plummet him very far down. He's yet to serve that drive-through, but he's probably not got too many more laps to do it, because you do have up to 3 laps to serve a drive-through, and he is still kind of in that busy pack, so I think that's going to send him all the way pretty much to the back. Not all the way to the back, but behind most of the field. Probably not as far back as Josh Vediger is. Sadly, he had a lot of damage to fix. But Ben Hignett right now still all over the back of the GTR, and is going to find it very frustrating to get past. He's going to have to kind of rely on a bit of mistake from Aaron Lee here. And I wonder if Aaron Lee's just like, it's hard to say with a GTR. Good run from Hignett as well. He's going to look to the outside. Sorry, not Hignett. Goes to the outside, I should say. And Aaron Lee defends the inside line. It's going to be a lot for Ben to get it done from around the outside here. The GTR plants the power. The TC is better than the Ferrari, and he does kind of hold his claim a little bit there, but unfortunately he's going to lose out to the acceleration and has to tuck in backwards. And going to be following the GTR at least for the next couple of corners.
Yeah, the outside line there in the hairpins is not the ideal line when you're trying to pass someone. So obviously Aaron Lee defending very well here against Hignett, and perhaps frustrating him a little bit because every time on exit that GTR just tends to fly away. That Ferrari only manages to catch up, unless obviously the GTR makes a mistake. That Ferrari only manages to catch up towards the latter part of these straights.
Yeah, like it's curious the case with Mr. Aaron Lee's pace. The GTR, like with the bigger cars, they are sometimes a little bit pitch sensitive. As you see, Brownette there, service drive through already. So like they can be a little bit quirky with some of them, with a lot of fuel in them. There's a lot of weight transfer into like places like the old hairpin. And it's just a little bit more, it's an extra bit of fuel to get a pendulum in the rear of the GTR. Not to say the GTR is bad on high fuel, but it's once it starts sliding, you kind of start going sideways. You see the plane in the background. Excellent, great little detail on this track. But it's just a little bit of extra weight, and the GTR likes to go sideways. Sometimes more than it likes to go forwards, and if you're not going forwards, you're not going quickly.
Yep, definitely agree. And we have one of our viewers, Club 50, used up all the water. Now, if anyone has watched any of, obviously, the personal streams from the drivers in Club 50, because we do not broadcast Club 50, you would have seen that their quali, they had literally flooded conditions, and then the race was very, very wet throughout. So, yeah, I think Club 50 did end up using all the water. Definitely agree from that statement from Matt, as we're now with Jaden Rondinella, and he's currently in P8, so he's made up a few positions. I think he started in P15 or P16, but he has made up a few positions. Now he's on the back end of the Audi of Saxon Hayes. He did a moment there, but he manages to keep it together. I'm very sorry, Jaden, but that turns out he's got a Ferrari going side by side with him, but I think he'll manage to stay ahead through this corner. But he's got a bit of work to catch back up to that Audi now.
It was very great work from Jaden Rondinella up until we shot a camera at him and threw the mic at him, and he gets a bit of a bad run as well through Coppice, and it's going to be under threat, but he does have the inside line for the S's, and he needs to make sure he squeezes Slade, and Slade does find the grass, and well, that's definitely going to go to the stewards. Slade does cut across, and unfortunately probably will get a track limit as well, because it's absolutely brutal at that corner. But oh dear, we'll leave that one to the stewards if it does go to the stewards, whether there was too much of a squeeze going on there. But oh dear, not too great. God, we've ruined this race, man. We ruined this race. I'm sorry, Jaden. I'm all sorry. We'll let Saxon Hayes off the hook. That's the even bigger crime.
Yeah, now the stewards have a bit of work to figure that one out. Thankfully, I'm not doing their job. I just have to commentate on these drivers driving.
Oh, what's happening at the hairpin?
It looks like, there is a bit of an incident. The 620 is not moving, and that is the number 600 of Neil Wood. So wondering what's happened there, but he was definitely not facing the right way when we jumped to him. And a step behind him, is that Joshua Vediger behind him? So Joshua Vediger also making up a bit of room, as Lucas already starting to catch some back markers. I think that's the number 2 of Atanayake. They did have a drive-through penalty, so that does not help in a race, obviously. But it's looking like Lucas pretty soon is going to catch up back markers, and this is going to make it very interesting, as it's only been 20 minutes in the race. Most likely he's going to catch some more for the latter stages, as we're now looking at Appreciado in the Valvoline Mustang. Beautiful car, this one. As he's currently... Now he's the one under pressure from Stephen Tyne. I'm wondering if he's going to try and fight it at all or not. That we will have to see.
Yeah, it's Steven Tyler also not throwing in the towel and continue on his way to get some. I think he can. I think, you know, with the pace he's shown, I think he can maybe get back in the top 10, especially with how condensed it's been. You know, the field is spread out in places, but for a large part of it, like everyone, to be honest, like, from not to Jaden Rondell too much, but he is P8 down. Like everyone is still pretty condensed, and it's all to play for. I think from most of that top 10 as Preciado goes wide at turn 1, and unfortunately going to lose out all the way to Steven Ty and doesn't contest that any further. He's going to say Preciado likes to fight, have a good battle, but knew he kind of lost that at turn 1, sadly.
Yeah, and I reckon he did not want to fight it too much. Steven Ty obviously on a charge to get back in his position, and yeah, those cars are not too far behind, and technically he is a position ahead as the car ahead of him did have a 10-second penalty, and that is that incident. Looks like, I think that's the Ferrari of Brian Kong. Just don't know what happened there. Decided to throw it down the inside, maybe trying to avoid that Porsche, but unfortunately for Steve, I think that's Steve. No, that's Neil Wood. Had to pay the ultimate price for that one, and is the one that has lost out the most on that incident.
A lot of drive-throughs being thrown out, I will say, this round. I'm not used to seeing too many of those, only from the most egregious one, but unfortunately 620 did get a drive-through for causing a collision, I believe on lap 16. I'm not sure, I don't think that was, I don't think he got a drive-through for the replay that we just saw, because he was very much the victim in that tragedy. Yeah, car 6 Brian Kong, he did obviously get spun around, I believe, by Brownette, recalling from on lap 1 or lap 2 at the start. So he was, you know, the unfortunate victim in that incident. But I have seen a few, like there was, we saw the incident just then. He's very much going to get a penalty for. But he also had a moment at the last corner as well, many laps ago. I did see that car was yellowed, so he's been in the wars as Brian Kong, and not helping his case too much with that last incident, that's for sure.
Yeah, I hope that's not for the incident we just saw, because yeah, definitely agree with you. He was most definitely the victim in that incident. Nobody was expecting that Ferrari to send it down the inside like that, especially since he was, well, way ahead. There was a car between him and that Ferrari. So there's no way he would have predicted that a Ferrari was going to send it down the inside. And we do have another drive-through for car number 6 this time. So that is Brian Kong. So that's for that incident we just saw.
No, I don't think it was. That's lap 13. That was even earlier than the Neil Woods drive-through. So I think that's... Yeah. Okay, as well. That's even more confusing to everything. So we haven't even had lap 16, but yeah, I don't think that's even for the incident we just saw, to be honest. I'm not too sure. I think we're much further than lap 13 into the race. I could be wrong. Probably is.
I think our race control bot has gone on holiday and has decided to give the trainee the lead on this race, and it's having a bit of a moment. But yeah, that's most likely for that for that send on the inside. I don't think there's any other incidents that Brian Kong got involved where he would have gotten a drive-through for. So, yeah, I think that's a fair penalty for what's happened. But what it has happened, he is now in the pit serving that drive-through, and will lose a bunch of positions for it. But you just gotta keep your head down and fight back up.
Yeah. Many laps around this track, I believe, and yeah, it's a very short lap time, so we're gonna get a lot of laps in. We're not even halfway through, and yeah, a lot of penalties going out, and I don't want to touch base on it too much, but yeah, the stewards have definitely been a little bit more vigorous. Oh, car 88 inside of the Melbourne Airpin on the exit. That's Jaden Rondinella is yellowed. Not too sure whether that's what might be another incident, but these hairpins are a hot spot for trouble. And car 19 up ahead as well. That's Luke Johnson, and I think maybe 213 Dylan McDowd. As Aston Martin just the Ford Mustang sends it into Luke, who then snookers the Ferrari that's already on the side of the road. That's shocking, I have to say. And that's, yeah, very silly stuff all around, frankly. These drive-throughs are pretty warranted at this point, and dare say we're going to see many more to come. That's all pretty average stuff.
I think these guys are a bit overexcited in this race. Lufley already getting himself into an incident and then getting sent down the inside by a Mustang again. He's not had the best few races so far. He's just been getting involved in incidents, which, to be fair, aren't even his fault. He got into incidents at Spa. He's gotten through some incidents. He had incidents at Silverstone, and now he's had incidents here again. So he's not had the best season so far in the GTR, and it's none of his own doing. It's just what happens. It's just not been getting lucky, as we get a replay of Neil Wood as a drive-through, and that is another send, complete send down the inside on lap 12.
I've spoken about these drive-throughs, but some of these incidents have been shocking. Like, I know, I understand you're missing your braking zone, but some of these have been pretty average driving, and not only to hit one car, but two cars. You're ruining other people's races. Come on, wise up, do more practice, get better. That's not the stuff we like to see.
Yeah, definitely agree. I don't really like telling people off. I don't like telling people off on stream. You know, I would like to commentate the race, but all these drive-throughs coming through is not ideal. It just sure doesn't look good for these drivers. But yeah, it's a bit silly, as we have two cars going side by side. Hopefully these guys can keep it cleaner, and they do. The BMW does cede to the McLaren. So we do have good racing here and there, but obviously these collisions is not what we want.
Yeah, it's Brownneck getting ahead of Frühstück, and Frühstück trying to duck out and goes wide, and is already going to spell his own demise and find the gravel. Hopefully rejoins nice and safely, as there was a car behind him. The other BMW takes avoiding action and does get out of the way to out. Another Ferrari is stopped in the thing. You get even remotely a bad run through the thing. Oh, come on. Oh, dear. There's another collision there from Stockton into Frühstück as well. And now Dylan McDowell is going to be forced onto the grass on the outside as well. There's not a lot of care being shown out there. I know everyone's a little bit flustered right now. The Aston Martin up the inside as well. The Porsche are going to be on the outside for the S's, and hopefully everyone can keep it clean. And we're not even 30 minutes in. That's very late from Dylan McDowell. Hopefully he gets arrested. The Porsche brakes may have saved him a little bit there, and he does keep it nice and safe. I'm worried. I'm scared. I've seen too many cars absolutely destroy their brake markers and miss their zones. Great point in case there from Dylan McDowell. What is going on? Please
make it stop. But he's doing the correct thing. He's holding the brakes at least.
Flipping pedal on the left, people.
he is holding the brakes there, and as you see, Lucas Keys had managed to lap McDowell, so not sure what's going on here. I did see a lot of people practice this track. I'm not sure if it's today's racing or if it's just this track. I know Academy as well has had a lot of incidents, so it might be a track thing. Maybe it's just the nature of this track being so high speed. You're basically sending it, but come on, I'm not sure what to say anymore. But yeah, let's hope Lucas Keys doesn't get rear-ended by that blue flag as well. I know he would be not the happiest guy in the world, especially if you're getting rear-ended by a blue flag.
No, that's just asking for it. Why would you do that? I thought that you said it.
Come on, as we get another drive-through for car 19. Hell yeah! Oh, sorry. Apologies. But another
22 leader has been hit by another car. Lucas Keys has been hit. I apologize for the volume, but they were hit by someone else. This is ridiculous now. Come on. But he doesn't lose the leads from Eshan Lele, but they're right there. But definitely saw car 22, and I believe that was a Preciado Mustang, yellowed at turn 7, McLean's. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm going to lose my voice. We're only just gone halfway.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to calm down and commentate on this racing that we're going to get from Lele and Lucas Keys. Hopefully these guys are going to keep it clean. Lucas Keys still managing to hold on to the lead, thankfully for him, but it has closed the gap for Lele, as we do get another drive-through penalty for car 213. This is not round 6, this is round drive-through penalty, but now Lucas will have some rear-end damage from that contact, so I'm wondering how severe that damage is, and I'm wondering also if Lele is going to be able to do something about it. But with 30 minutes left in the race, and if Lucas did end up going sideways, wondering what state his tires are in. But so far so good. It's looking like he's still managing to drive the car okay. Lele not really closing the gap. In fact, it's looking like Lucas is opening up that gap, as we have that incident between Apreciado and Lucas Keys. Apreciado does hit the grass and ends up completely spinning Lucas. And that's just a bit, again, silly. These drivers should know their blue flag rules, but Lucas did manage to get back on track, still ahead of Lele, so there's that to go for. And you know, I'm gonna look at the positive. We might get some racing at the front end of the field here, even though it was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, I'm calm. Cop. But yes. My eyes. I am just yeah. I don't know what to say. To appreciate us, to give him credit, he was blue flagged. He knew it. He got out the way, but then he didn't know the limitations of the corner of the track. Inexperienced, not racing here too often. Probably he has been racing for a long time. I'm gonna give him that. But he got out of it in the wrong way, realized that he pretty much going to be on the grass, and unfortunately speared right. It was a perfect cocktail of content into Lucas Keys, and now that's put the fight for the lead within 2 and 3 seconds. In the well, I was going to say P6, yeah, I don't want to comment too much, but they're doing great. I don't want to give them anything else, because it's all going on whether we show the cameras or not.
Yeah, that is definitely an interesting round here. Lucas point.
Wow, some actual racing.
So that's for the Pro-Am lead. In fact, these Pro-Am drivers, once again, getting into the top 10. So these guys must have been doing something right, especially Buczynski currently leading Pro-Am. Closely followed by Murphy, which is followed by Steve Lewis, but Steve Lewis does have a 15-second penalty, so technically 15-second behind, but doesn't mean he can't get involved in some racing action and maybe open up that gap. But 15 seconds is 15 seconds. That is quite a big gap to open, especially with 26 minutes to go. And I think in the background, we see a sneaky Stephen Ty about to get involved in this three-way battle for the Pro-Am lead, except Stephen Ty, obviously pro driver, but he could have I forgot the word. He could have a say to what happens in that Pro-Am battle if he does get involved, let's say, with a battle between Buczynski and Murphy. If he gets in between them, maybe it'll give Buczynski the opportunity to build a bigger gap to Murphy, or the other way around. If he does end up battling with Buczynski, it could have the other effect of Murphy benefiting from it. So let's see what these drivers do. As we can see in the background, he's getting much closer to Steve Lewis now within a second. So I reckon he will catch Steve Lewis at some point during this lap, perhaps in sector 3, as we get more cars going side by side. Now this is the type of racing we want to see. No contact, close racing, people benefiting from others' mistakes, or perhaps that was a blue flag, as that might be the Aston of a Tanayaki. So if it is, that would have been a blue flag. But Aaron Lee still ahead of Benjamin Hignett, so far doing a fantastic job of keeping that Ferrari behind, but still 15 seconds behind Glory Babby, and that is again Apreciado in front of him, and that is another blue flag that these drivers will have to try and get around.
Yes, he's very much on watch right now, is the Valvoline Mustang. I'm not too sure if he's fighting the Aston Martin and the McLaren for position as well, but hopefully no further doing, but a little bit close with contact to say the least still. But yeah, Aaron Lee still ahead, car 11, a stop and go 20. I'm not too certain who car 11 is or was, but definitely that's him. That is Mr. Apreciado himself. Unfortunately, is a stop and go penalty. trust that is for the collision with Lucas Keys, the leader. Yeah. I'm not sure what else to say.
Makes sense. Stop go 20, and that's a lot of penalty points. So now I'm actually wondering how the penalty points are going to stack up after this race. I'm expecting a few quali bans. If cars buffs, if repeating offenders got into penalties, but that's a pretty fair pen. That did completely ruin, well, not completely ruin Lucas's race, as he has built a gap again to Lele, now 1.8 ahead, almost 2 seconds ahead of Ashan Lele. So looking like his damage is not major. He still has good control over his car and still managing to build that gap to P2. So that's good to see for Lucas. He did not deserve that one. As we're still with Aaron Lee, and Higgins managing to get close to Aaron Lee, but just not managing to make that move stick, as we see Apreciado in the background going into the pits to potentially serve that SG20. But yeah, now that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it really wasn't on Lucas to do anything there, and we know he's nice and calm. He's pretty much he's Oscar Piastri. He doesn't react to anything, doesn't let anything get under his skin. He's not perturbed. He doesn't talk poop. Definitely not like Lucas at all. But John Stockton right now is going to have Joshua Vedega up the inside, but a good run from the Ferrari on the exit as well, as the Ford had to take the tighter line and have not so good, and it's still going to be side by side through the last corner as well. Surely the Mustang will have the power advantage to keep it alongside and have the inside for turn one, while they can go side by side through the hairpins. Turn one is a lot more of a harder case to run by, and it looks like Josh Pagaya is going to have that one easily done. Maybe a little bit of squirrel on the exit. The Ferrari is going to be right there, so any error is going to be taken advantage of. Aston Martin as well behind him, number 4 Michael Clark there, doing a good job so far in P22 for the M driver, going along now into the old hairpin, and they all nice a little bit touch on the grass, but nothing untoward. But a good recovery drive from Josh Vedega, considering how much damage he definitely had at least 20 to 30 second repair bill, and had to stop obviously to repair in a race where you are not required to stop. So he's done a very good job to recover to where he is right now, and still going to have a few places to gain, as the field is very closely bunched up and still many penalties to come along.
He's had a good recovery drive. Obviously he did not want to be in this position to begin with, but he hasn't given up. He's still fighting up, he's still got points to find. But yeah, he's done a fantastic job, especially, we've not spectated him too much, but so far it seems like he's managed to just pass cars very cleanly. Doesn't seem like there was much drama with him going back for us. We have a battle between Clark and that Ferrari, and it does end up spinning him. That is unfortunate for Stockton, and that was a bit naughty from Clark, but I'm not going to say anything else on that incident. We've seen enough of that. We do want to see a lot more racing. As we see, again, Lucas Kiss in the background, he's got a big train of cars ahead of him that he's going to have to manage to get through, and especially now he doesn't have the buffer he used to have before that major incident. He had a pretty big buffer to Lele, but now it's only a couple seconds or perhaps 3 seconds now to Lele, and that is a lot of cars to try and get through ahead of him.
Yeah, and he'll have the reminder of what happened previously, with the Mustang, just laying in the back of his head. So he just needs to tick them off one by one, but the problem is he doesn't really have the buffer that he had before. He needs everyone to be vigilant in their mirrors, as well as Michael Clough fends off Luke Johnson in the Ferrari. With 2 more Ferraris to join as well, so hopefully not going to spell too much issue for when Lucas Keys arrives. Pretty even run between these two. Michael Clark did have that kind of very, average, barely send, slight misbrake into the next corner. Last lap around, and did turn half turn Stockton, so I think that's an unfortunate number one to the stewards. We, you know, kind of look forward to seeing the alcohol bill on expense sheets come next Monday. But yeah, thank you to all the stewards that do everything they do, and going to be doing. You know, we didn't pay for the stewards, but we're going to get the most out, our money's worth out of them anyway.
Yeah, they definitely have their work cut out for them this race. I thought, yeah, a couple simple penalties to give, and I was completely wrong. So perhaps they cursed the stewards, and now they've got a lot of work ahead of them to go through these penalties. Yeah, we stumbled over Michael Clark, wondering what's going to happen with him. But they have been very strict with these penalties, and I'm wondering if they're going to have a bit of talking to after this race. That's not what we want, as we're with Hayden Marsh now in that beautiful, I think that's a John Deere liveried Ferrari.
No.
I think he's implying that Ferrari is a tractor. I don't know how.
Oh, it is John Deere. I thought it was a Jim's mowing car. Sorry.
No, it's a John Deere Ferrari. I remember this car. Absolutely love it. I think he's implying that the car is a tractor, which I don't know how I feel. The Ferrari does have a special spot in my heart, as he currently gets lapped by Lucas Keys. But
yeah, the picture is Jim's mowing. I'm not. I was like the thing is just like, Tim, you're poor fool. You're not an Australian if you can't recognize Jim's mowing. But it does say John Deere. I can't knock you for that one. But yeah, should be disqualified anyway. No official number plates. If I'm not allowed to have them, no one is.
It's like collaboration between Ferrari, John Deere, and Jim's mowing. That's what it is. The colors fit together.
Why would you want to collaborate anyone when you have Jim?
Why not?
I'm sorry, you're not going to understand this, but you just don't understand this. Jim's mowing is the monopoly on lawn services.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not Australian. I usually do my own mowing. There's barely to do anyways. I don't have a yard at all. I have like the tiniest patch of grass. That's where with Luke Johnson, he's behind Clark, and Clark in the battle as they go for the end.
No.
It's really close, bumper to bumper, 3 cars.
Every time, and Lucas Keys is right behind him as well. There's gonna be another maybe contact. I sound like a sad accordion every time something happens at the hairpin. Now everyone get out of the way, please, for Lucas Keys' sakes, as Michael Clark does a concede. He gets past one, and I was brave enough to go in front of the Aston Martin. Luke Johnson pulls off as well to let Lucas go by. My metal has been tested. Luke Johnson going to lose out now to Michael Clark as well again, so he's lost that position now in frustration. There's contact again. Lucas Keys gets past the BMW as well, so he should be safe. John Stockton now up the inside as well as Luke Johnson as well. It's hard to be optimistic after all this racing, but we're still going to try and do our best right now. Jim Deere's mowing in the background, looking to play along as well. But everyone still surviving so far. But look, Lele and Babby now, 2 more cars now, P2, P3, now to get past 4 cars as well. So it's still not over right now. Please, Tim, take over.
I think I'm gonna be sick. I'm scared. I don't want to look, but I can't stop looking. Thankfully, no incidents with Lucas going through, but we have seen that Ferrari of who was that? Johnson. Did lose out to Clark because of that incident, but so far it's looking a bit better with Lele. But let's see what happens when he starts going for that pack.
992. Sorry, Wesley Yow's had a moment as well. And I'm sorry to interrupt him, but no one is free. No one is safe right now. And Laurie, Babby, and Lele are hopefully going to get past Luke Johnson as well, as Michael Clark looks like he's pulling over to let them by 2. I don't envy being in this position, but if you're the blue flag cars as well, because there's so many, like, what car is this car for position? Is it not? You just got to be on your wits. It goes wide, it goes off track. And, maybe that's a safer bet, frankly, than getting involved. Not to do what the Mustang did to Lucas Keys as well. I don't know what to say, but Lele, Babby are through that pack. Hooray! Yay!
It's scary, and obviously Clark had to go off. So sometimes the racing gods take it away, give it to you. Sometimes they take it away from you. And looking like they took it away a bit more to Clark than they did to Johnson. Obviously, Johnson only losing one position, but Clark has lost a lot of positions from moving over so far for Lele and Babby. So that is unfortunate, but that is racing on a tight track like this. Even when you're blue flag, there just isn't a lot of space for you to let faster cars through, and especially around bends and corners. This track isn't really a straight track either. Of course, you've got a couple straights on the right hand side, as we can see on the track map, but they're not the biggest straights, and you end up losing out a lot, as we see Marshy, Hayden Marsh, go past Clark pretty cleanly, though. He's losing out more again to the cars behind him, so he's going to be a bit upset about that one, I reckon, as he gets rear-ended by Brian Kong.
Goodness gracious. Oh, that's another one. Number 6 back to the headmaster's office again. But yes, you know, I like to be outspoken, I like to be a bit spicy, but I don't really need it. You know, I'm eating a California Reaper of a race right now, and I don't really, the words just don't, you know, the racing's doing the crap talking for me, frankly. I'd like to see, hopefully, what happened to Wesley Yao, because, you know, I can say it now that he's been killed or he's had an incident, but that guy was holding down P6, silver driver, in the Porsche, pretty much since the start. He was doing an excellent job, and unfortunately now he's fallen down to P8. Not too sure why, maybe it was a mistake of his own, but hopefully we can maybe have a replay of that. Only 12 minutes ago. We'll see if that one can be conjured up. No issue if so, but I'm thoroughly disappointed for Wesley Yao, as he was doing an excellent job. But yeah, I don't think anyone's been safe this whole race, frankly.
As we also see, Nicholas Brownette did get a 5-second penalty. At least that's what, I don't even trust the race control bot anymore. The race control bot said that he's got a 5-second penalty, so I suspect he's probably done a bump path, as we see car number 11 gets a drive-through penalty for a collision on lap 17. So I think that's the...
No, thank you. Glenn confirms, unfortunately, Yao had his own moment, so phew, frankly, you know, that wasn't wasn't a poor driving standards, at least on this, in that rare instance, this race. But please continue, Gobby. I'm not too sure. Yeah, what was that incident for car 11? I want to say that's the incident that happened before Lucas Keys, which we saw, which was pretty egregious, but was, you know, overshadowed by the blue flag incident.
It said lap 17. What lap are we on now? I can't
33.
See. 33. We're lap
Long
32.
time ago.
That was a long time ago. So yeah, the stewards probably have their work cut out for them here, and they're still going through much older incidents, as we do have a replay of Wesley Yao.
Thank you, Glenn.
He goes a bit too wide there and spins it over.
Oh,
He's
Saxon.
by the outer of Saxon. We did not see that one almost happening, but luckily they don't make contact, and obviously there was not much Yao could have made. He could have held that brake pedal as hard as he could. If you're on the grass, that car is not stopping.
Oh, Hignett was very deep and kind of went wide. Oh, car 6 is yellowed again here at the Melbourne hairpin again. There's more carnage and commiseration still happening. I can't even finish what I was talking about because something else happens. You know, I mean, the track maps, it's been lighting up more than an NBN switchboard right now.
Hey, you gotta look at the positives, Cam. It was action-packed. It was not one of those boring follow each other around race. Obviously, it'd be better, technically, if it was one of those boring, everyone just follows each other and then the race ends, because, you know, that we don't want anybody getting into incidents, but at least it was action-packed. At least, I'm sure a lot of people out there, a lot of the viewers are having a good laugh. But obviously for the drivers, they would be kicking themselves and obviously not be very happy. I know I'd be fuming if I got into incidents like this. Knowing me, at least, I'm not a very calm person.
Last time I was this jaded, I was in a TeamSpeak call with John Gormley.
That was definitely content-filled. I would love to know what some of these drivers are saying. I reckon it was it's just an estimation, but I reckon those penalties start with a Constantine effect, where driver gets angry, you start angry driving, and you do stupid mistakes. Because I know when I'm angry driving, I do stupid mistakes that I should not be doing. So I reckon a lot of these drivers are probably getting a bit upset. You know, it happens. We're all human after all. But yeah, it's just when you're driving upset, you're just not cool. You're not thinking properly, and you just end up doing mistakes that you would not do normally. So I've got a slight suspicion that this is what's happening here as well.
Yeah, not to excuse anything, but this is also I think this might be just me kind of ranting from the box, but it's just like this is also shows the importance of obviously trying to do hot lapping doesn't prepare you for racing. It is, to be fair, it's very different to follow try to do your lap time when you got a car in front of you for position and you can't do anything about it. A lot of difference between the cars as well. Each car makes its time in different places, and to put a bit of emphasis on the track as well. I'm not going to try and say I understand. I don't understand what's going on, frankly, but there is a lot of open, wide entry corners here. We look at every corner; it's very wide in entry. It's really not single file. And I think someone made a point in chat as well. Like there's a lot of different lines that people take and a different kind of approaches to some of these corners because they are so kind of wide. They're also entry. There's a few ways to take the entry, and I think it's really catching a lot of people out, as well as also a lot of people just not really finding their frontal lobes and braking at the right points as well. Not to excuse any of that, but there is I can understand why some of these corners are maybe a little bit trickier than other tracks. There's a lot more opportunity for danger.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more technical high-speed tracks out there because it's very quick and it's very easy to make mistakes here. And like you said, so many different lines, and obviously even if you're angry, it's not an excuse to get into an incident. But what's happened. There's 6 minutes and 45 seconds left of the race. Let's just hope that these drivers keep it clean for the closing stages. Lucas Key's now already 7 seconds ahead of Lely, so I'm wondering if perhaps he's had a bit more luck with the blue flags. But Lely still under pressure from Glory Babby. They're only 1.2 seconds behind as Lucas Keys once again goes through blue flag traffic, and so far so good for him. I'm wondering what's going to happen with these two, because although there is only 6 minutes left of racing, you don't need a whole lap to go for a move. There could still be mistakes if these guys do catch up to blue flags. I'm wondering what Babby has in store for us to perhaps get past Lele.
Yep, at the dying light, and both drivers have done a very good job so far. Not to try and curse them. I know Lele has said they've really not had a great season so far, for multiple different reasons, but this one is looking pretty good so far. And granted, not going to be on the top step, but it was always going to be very difficult with Lucas and Philippa in this race, in this series, I should say. It was always a very tough split. Obviously, Glory Babby switching to the McLaren, I believe, from the Ferrari at the first opportunities for driver changes as well. Not to say that he was doing badly in the Ferrari. He had some mixed races as well. Snetterton wasn't too great, again, for multiple reasons as well. See, dust up ahead. There's a few more cars to negotiate still. So Allspice Porsche does a good job, sees the cars coming, gets well and truly up the track very kindly, and concedes the issue. But Glory Babby now, getting closer to the McLaren, but really gonna have to rely on a mistake. It's not easy as well when they're both in the same machinery. It's pretty dead to even. It would have been interesting to see how Ben Hignett would have compared to these two. I don't think he would have had the pace, but I think he would have had I think he would have been quicker than Aaron Lee because he's basically been on the back bumper for most of this race. That's really not going to help your state glory going wide like that as you affect your run. Turn 1 is so critical here because of how much you're pretty much on. It's all momentum pretty much down, granted, to this old hairpin, but you're still, it's another crucial, you know, moment as well. As I see, there's a slight elevation uphill as well, and these McLarens, they do all right as well, but you know, there's some stuff like the GTR that can really rein in cars that don't have the grunt up that hill, and it's very interesting to see. We come to the double apex corner of Copies. I really hate this corner. You see the bounce of the exit, especially with this crest as well, but he gets it nicely, well implanted in the McLaren before even the crest. We can see how squirrely he is on the exit as well. Nice to see an onboard lap as well from here at Donington. Clips the inside, clips the other part of the chicane. A little bit kind of out wide. He was maybe kind of a little bit too far right for the second part of the chicane. Did compromise his entry, but really compromised his braking as well. And unfortunately going to lose a whole, at least probably a 10.2 car 11 yellowed at the side of the track outside of the pin. I think that is a Mr. Appreciator again. We'll leave it at that. Coming out for the last corner, but it's yeah, good lap from Glory Barry, but did lose out a little bit in places to Eshan Lele, but a couple of blue flags up ahead. Never know, it's not over. 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's perhaps over pushing the car because there's only 3 minutes left, and I'm sure he can smell that P2 on the podium. I'm sure he wants it really badly, but that could be causing him to slightly overdrive the car to catch up to Lele, and obviously it's doing more bad than good, but there's still 2 back markers ahead of them, and Lele's about to catch them, so that's going to give Babby another opportunity to just close up that gap and look for a move on Lele.
Yep, McLaren is a very good car around here as well. It's nice and pointed at the front as well. You got to keep the rear in check a little bit. It's, you know, everyone's pretty much, you know, nearly on 1 hour old tires as well. It's not the best, easiest track on tires. The better run there from Gloria Babby as well, but still great driving from Eshan Lele as well, not leaving anything on the table. And does get it a much better run there through, carried the speed, didn't over slow too much, didn't veer off too much either as well, carried the speed in. The more speed you carry, the less the TC has to work on the exit in theory, and that's definitely been a moment where between those Melbourne hairpins really have a different effect on depending what kind of car you have, because some TCs are a lot more functioning than others, to say the least. And the BMW of the, I'm not too sure who that is. It might be, I think, Perkins, and I want to say Ash Vediger, yep, up ahead in the Coke Ford Mustang. And I'm really hoping these two are wisely up too, because Lele's definitely been close enough, at least for 3 blue flag marshal posts by now. They've got to let him go.
And they have to let him go. They're probably trying to race, but
it's a silly place to try and let someone go. It's not very good from Perkins there. Sorry, go on, Tim.
Yeah, that's just, you can tell Lele is not willing to be patient, and I definitely agree with him. He's got a very quick Glory Babby behind him, and he wants to get as far away as possible from that other McLaren as he can. Now Vediger needs to concede the position. Here probably be the best spot to do it, but it's looking like they don't really want to, as now they finally do end up laying that through. As we see Babby in the background, almost rear-ending Lele, but they do have another lap to do this, as Lucas is about to cross the start-finish line, as he does now in the 30 seconds. So this will be the last lap. So 1 more lap for Babby to try and do something about Lele, but there's no cars close enough ahead of them, I think, for Babby to try and go for a move. They have managed to close the gap a little bit, but just not quite enough, or not even close to enough to try and go for a move. And hopefully they stay cool. You know, P3 is not the end of the world. P3 is still very respectable in this split. But obviously when you've got a better position ahead of you, that's really what you want. But I reckon unless Lele does a massive mistake, they've got their positions pretty secure.
Yep, it's all onus is on them. And there is a McLaren driving half off the track ahead of them, so that's really reassuring. There's Brownette, so hopefully it doesn't upset the status quo. The two McLarens on the podium, and has no bearing on their race. But Lucas Keys is going through up to the last corner now. He's going to be definitely the winner of this race for sure, as Lele gets really closed in from Babby, as Lucas Keys crosses the line. S21 does a very good job commanding race, even with the incident with the blue flag car. Eshan Lele is going to take P2 ahead of Gloria Babby by a fraction of the margins, and going to be a Aston McLaren front row, podium, I should say. Everything but the Aston Martin's akin to the F1 circus, to say the least. And Aaron Lee, our front row man, our P2 in the GTR, did kind of build a gap over Benjamin Hignett at the end towards somewhat, but holds down P4 as well. Still a very good job.
A pretty big gap, must I say. He actually did manage to perhaps find the pace, or maybe Hignett just destroying his tires. He was almost 10 seconds behind when he crossed the line. So it looks like he backed off, held his position, and just... Yeah, so that's a very good result for Aaron Lee.
Saxon Hayes, P6 as well, in the Audi. Man is persevering, man loves his Audi, and is rewarded for it. I think he's pretty much been... I think he one of the few incident-free cars, and Kafil Slade.
Incident-free, but he almost ended up collecting Wesley Yao. But thankfully, he did it, and he got rewarded with P6 for that result.
Even Ty, P9.
Yeah, Stephen Ty did manage to get into top 10 at the end, so he did manage to salvage that. So that's very good recovery drive from him, too. That was an interesting race. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh, here's the rain.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what you want, the rain. It's not even rain, it's just wet. All right, as we currently look at the result of our last race, so our overall will be Lucas Keys will take the overall win in the race with P1 with a pretty dominant drive, finishing 9 seconds ahead of P2, which will be Eshan Lele, P3 Glory Babby. And for our silver class, we'll have Wesley Yao holding on into P1 for silver, so good effort on him. Jaden Rondinella managing to get P2 for silver, so that's a bit of a surprise. I thought he was 4 positions behind, but that's very good for Jaden Rondinella. And P3 will have Perkins. For our Pro-Am, we'll have Buczynski holding on to P1 for Pro-Am. He'll be happy with that result, followed by Murphy, and closing out the podium for Pro-Am will be K. In Am class, we'll have Ashley Vediger in P1, Byrne in P2, and Michael Clark closing out the Am podium in P3. That was an interesting race. Who was your driver of the day, Cam?
The stewards.
The stewards. If I'm going to have to give a driver of the day.
I was going to give it to Wesley Yao because he did a good job, but I got to give it to Saxon Hayes as well. He did a very good job. And shout out, obviously, we praise Lucas. Not quite praise Dale, but praise Lucas. But he did a very good job to hold his composure after that incident as well. Didn't let it get to him and did what he needed to do as well. And yeah, to be honest, all that top 5, top 6, top 7, everyone to P9, the whole top 10, praiseworthy.
I'll have to give it to Vediger. That was a very good recovery drive, especially the amount of time they lost having to pit and fix that damage. The fact that they managed to get back, I think it was P16, P15. I don't quite remember, but they did manage to get all the way to the mid-pack. So that's good effort on Vediger. Well, anyways, guys, that was Split Yellow of the Octane Online Racing Sprint Series, but stick around as we do have Split Green coming up ahead, and hopefully the racing is much cleaner there. But anyways, my name was Tim Gobe, commentating with Cameron Tisselwaite.
Yep. We'll have a short break. We'll be back in about 4 minutes, and we'll be back with Blake Griffiths and Lexi Bowen for Split Green. But it's bye from me, bye from Tim. Catch you later.
And we are back, and would you look at that, it is bucketing down here at Donington Park for split green of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. Round 6 of Series 21. We are past the halfway mark of the season, and it is looking like it's going to be a very, very spicy time here for Split Green. My name is Lexi Bowen, and joining me for Split Green comms is the ever wonderful Blake Griffiths. How are you, Blake?
I'm very, very well, thanks. How are you doing, Lexi?
Doing all right, and very intrigued by how things are about to unfold here at Donington for Split Green, as it is very treacherous out there. We got a little bit of a taste of it right at the very end of the Split Yellow broadcast there, but now we are getting to see the drivers face the conditions head first.
Yeah, after a very, very tumultuous split yellow, we will see if this weather is going to deliver us some more spiciness, or if it's going to cool down the tempers a little bit. If drivers going to drive a little bit more level-headed. It's always a bit hard to say. Sometimes it's a bit out of their control because of the lack of control, if you will.
Well, there's already been a bit of chaos happening, as it looked like the number 13 of Barker got picked up with a disqualification, presumably for cutting the track at a place where the game really doesn't like it, and the stewards had to manually remove that. So I see. So his team turns out, yeah, there's a quali ban, so that makes sense. So yes, he's been given a naughty stick.
The naughty stick is already out. I said maybe it'll be a little bit calmer, and we're already not doing too well. Car number, I think that is David Barker. So Barker also not quite actually in the garage, so it's a consistent yellow flag too, which is a little bit distracting for our drivers. Maybe someone can give him a little bit of an elbow. Just roll it back in there, mate. But we're on board with Damiano Thurcolini with another car that shall not be named following right behind. Damiano, only a few times set so far. Yes, Glenn, that car. Hello, Michael Babb. Welcome back to the Michael Babb experience. But jumping away, actually, we're with Benny Piper and the 26 Mercedes AMG. One of the few people running the big Merc in all of the Sprint Series, actually. A bit of a handful of a car. We'll see what he can manage, but we got some times trickling in. Michael Babb is our time setter at the moment with a 1:31.4. And it's a bit tricky to gauge how quick that actually is. Anyone with a little bit of experience in ACC knows that range settings per server, it's all a bit different. Car clearing the water, so we'll just have to see how everyone else handles that.
Yeah, it's also a matter of getting that consistency and that flow in, as in the wet conditions, it's all about, you have to take the time to really acclimatize yourself, as most of the practice you would have done in the lead up to this race week would have been in the dry. So it's a whole other dynamic you have to consider as Tercolini moves up to P2, 3/10 behind Babb, who does not improve on his lap time, but still sitting pretty at the top with a 31.4 dead.
Yeah, I can say right now I'm guilty of... I haven't actually even touched the wet practice server yet, and I'm sure there's a few other people like that. I forget who it was, but they were saying that the Sprint Series special is hopping into the wet race, having done no practice. So we'll see. It'll probably be a little bit apparent as Ben Piper just doing a little bit of lawn mowing, if you will, in the background, and back into the pits for Piper. Camera crew a little bit lazy there, looking the wrong way, but back out onto the track with the 819 Ferrari of Daryl Lim, I believe that is. I think that's a new livery. I don't remember seeing that one.
I wouldn't know, unfortunately, as I've usually been pretty preoccupied on a Wednesday night, but yes, the what looks to be a Bank of China livery there for Daryl Lim. So looks pretty reasonable with the combination of the Bank of China and the green, gold, and black striping around.
Yeah, there's a bit of a graphic design faux pas on the front with the black text over the black stripes.
Yes.
Let's get that cleaned up for next week. Jumping on board with Jasmine, I believe one of our newer runners and one of the few runners in this split that's running the default Macca livery, which has been a little bit tricky to follow as you go, but they're having a cracking lap. The time is just ticking up or down, I guess, actually, but it looks good. That's all to say, as there's a bit of a slow car ahead. That's Darryl Lim, a little bit slow. Hopefully put it to the side, where he's lost a little bit of time there, actually, but we're going to sling it around the final corner, keep that grip, keep that traction. The time is up and down, and it's staying level at about 7/10, so that's going to put him up all the way to P2, if you do not mind.
Massive improvement there for Jasmine. Just noting that Jasmine is down in 27th in the overall standings at the moment, so this will be a huge gain for him in the standings if he's able to hold on to this and maintain it for the race, which I believe you've got a 60-minute race coming up next.
Yeah, so no mandatory stops tonight, I do not believe, but we'll see what the weather does.
I'm sorry.
My hand. It's all right. There's already a good time. But yeah, pretty easy to do. It's easy to do that around that section in the dry, so I'm not surprised that he's come a cropper there in the wet. But Damiano Thurcolini not quite finding the time, actually, still 3/10 behind Michael Babb, and Michael Babb not actually improving on that 31.4 either. A full
setting up a new time now.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll see what these guys have in their bag of tricks.
Yes, indeed. As we watch Babby through turn 1 at Redgate, it is a very long right hand. I mean, a lot of the corners around here are quite long and winding. I think this is one of the few British circuits that's not actually designed around a aerodrome, but I could be very much wrong.
With how old a lot of these places are, it wouldn't surprise me if at one point it was some kind of aerodrome.
It just would seem a little strange given how hilly Donington is. I mean, it sort of reminds me a little bit of how Brands Hatch is laid up. But again, I could be quite wrong, as most of the British circuits that are built around aerodromes tend to be quite flat. But you do have a decent stretch along here, but I don't think it's quite suitable for the aerodrome with the bumps you're seeing over the middle as we watch Abby come through now into the S's. Something I am noting is the rain is getting heavier, which is probably making it harder for these drivers to find improvement. So it could have very much been a case of first laps get the pole.
Jasmine's cheering right now, punching the air with that P2. Let's hope. I think last week we saw someone put it on P2 as well that I don't think they'd been there before at Valencia, and they got themselves an out of position penalty, I think just from the inexperience of being on pole. So hopefully we won't see that repeat. But Michael Babb's going to go one more time. The track's looking very, very wet. As you said, I don't think it's improving at all, so we'll see what Babb can cook up all across that very, very slippery curb, and the time is ebbing away already. Checking in with Thurcolini about halfway through the track. It's about halfway. You can give that to me. But about level right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether he can maintain this as he runs through some tricky sections there. It's at McLean's now into Coppice or Coppis or however you want to pronounce it. I'm not going to judge on pronunciations. He loses a fair bit of time through that. It's very tricky to get it right, even in the dry, so in the wet and in these worsening conditions. Not surprised he's struggling with it as he now runs up towards the S's. The tyre bundle's going to be well off to the side already, and yeah, he's not finding time. So I would dare say that this session is pretty much already called.
Yeah, Will in the chat, just a tiny bit of information. The person I was referencing last week that got the out of position penalty was actually Jasmine as well.
Oh.
So hopefully they've learned their lesson, because I do think, they're probably going to be starting P2 with how these conditions are right now. It is an interesting start. It's something that's been on my mind ahead of Split Reds, in that it's not exactly the longest pit straight, and the starting line is not that far from the final corner. Do you think with a bigger grid, you end up with some people still coming around there as the green light goes? So it could be a little bit tricky for some of these guys at the back.
Yes, we just received a question from Admiral Nime, who is our championship leader for this split, asking if Luca Giacomin is also absent, and it looks like that is very much the case. There seems to be a few drivers who are absent tonight. We've got 22 out there, which isn't the worst in the world, but yeah, given that Donington is quite tricky and often prone to a lot of issues, it's not overly surprising, you'd dare say.
It's interesting though, Giacomin did mark in for the week, so hopefully everything's all good. Just, I don't know, didn't feel like it or whatever, but we have our race that's in front of us, and that's what we will call. It is going to be interesting though. There's points to be made up, considering that Admiral Name and Luca Giacomin aren't racing tonight. That's two of the heaviest hitters you'll find in the Sprint Series, not here. So there's points on the table for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, here is technically he's going to be one of the last to cross the line. In fact, he's not even going to cross the line. He's going to enter pit lane, which leaves just the 99 out there on their own. The number 99 looking through the list as Oliver, and it's done. So yeah, it was nice and early, and oh my lord, it's still wet. Oh dear.
This should be good.
Oh, we are going to get some entertainment in Split Green. It's
increasing
wet
as well.
Yep, so that's going to be wet for the whole race.
Yeah, so probably no pit stops tonight then. It's going to be just a straight shot, I would say. But it's going to be something, I'll tell you what.
Oh, yes, I mean, we saw how slippery it was in that just qualifying session there. So given that it is not only raining still now, but it's going to increase in weather. Look at how much standing water there is on the track out there. Like, it's going to be really difficult for these drivers in the earlier stages, and it's just going to keep getting worse as the race progresses.
Yeah, I wonder if even like the cars are going to be removing enough water to counteract how much wetter it's going to be. I think anyone who's done their wet practice, punch in the air right now, they're happy. I think, like, as well, like I said myself, I haven't actually done any wet practice myself. I don't think this track would be particularly easy with all the elevation changes and a lot of the curbs that you rely on at high speed that you probably can no longer use. I think this is going to be it's going to have to be a very measured effort from these drivers if they want to get a good result.
Well and truly, it is one of the harder tracks in the game, in my opinion, to move from dry running to wet running. At least here, they've had a qualifying session to acclimatise, but even then, we saw how tricky it was, and it's not going to get any easier for them. So I feel like we could be in for a bit of a race of attrition, perhaps in a similar sort of vein to what we had from Split Yellow, but a little bit different in terms of the circumstances.
So just quickly before we get our formation lap underway, your qualifying results for tonight: Michael Babb from Ahmed Jasmine, from Damiano Thurcolini, from Daryl Lim, from Pascal Armstrong, from Lucas Marshall, Parker from Piper, from Saikanias, and Benny Vintonar is rounding out your top 10.
Yes, indeed. No, it's a great result for the Silver and Pro-Am drivers there. There's only a few Pro Class drivers, and two of them are starting right at the back of the field in Monks and Barker. Barker, who had that qualifying ban. But yeah, good showing from Bab there. Pole position in a car that I'm assuming is one of your favorites there, Blake.
I love this car. It's so good. I'm glad that we always show it so much because its delivery is just fantastic.
Yes. And then, of course, Jasmine looking for a bit of a redemption story, trying to make sure he stays in the right position on the race start this time. Lim, Pascal Armstrong, once again, strong showings from them. I've seen them perform quite well in the past, and it's good to see it. They're carrying that on, potentially on for silver class promotions in the future. Of course, very different conditions to what they normally race in. And of course, we have the ones towards end of the top 10 in Parker, Piper, and Sicanius that are doing nicely there. Pro, silver, and silver, respectively.
Yeah, the classes are a little bit mixed up tonight. We always say it. It's said, and well beyond Octane, mind you, that rain is the great equalizer. It looks like, as I said, maybe some people doing that because you see someone just gets a little bit wide down there. I think that is Pascal Armstrong. It's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, we got a few pros right on the back. I wonder if Nathan Monk's just opted not to qualify for tonight. I know he does that a little bit when he feels like it.
Bit more fun that way.
Yeah, I know a lot of the guys like the challenge of trying to make it through the field.
Last to first challenge is enticing, especially in these sorts of conditions, and with only 22 out there, and I mean, it wouldn't be a true last to first given that Barker had his quali ban, but it would still be quite something if he was able to make his way up to the podium, especially given that there are no pit stops. So it's all about how you make the moves on the track, as that is an interesting way of making moves on the track, just phasing through other cars.
Yeah. The formation lap's always a little bit interesting.
Yes, definitely.
Especially in the wet. Where do you think the moves are to be made around Donington Park, Lexi?
Around Donington, you've got a little bit in turn 1, if provide you get a good exit out of turn 12. You could maybe go for a move again, perhaps through McLean's if you get enough on long side. Other than that, you've got the Melbourne hairpin, and that's pretty much it. There's not really a lot of overtaking opportunities around here. Maybe a bit more in the wet, but usually not too many.
Very fair. As they come onto the pit straight, we're rolling across our boxes. Let's get those gaps closed up. I'm looking at you, Daryl Lim, and we're about to get underway. The race start is initialized. Feet sweaty, hands also sweaty, and we are away. Michael Babb with a bit of an average start. Jusman looking pretty good and is going to have the racing line, and we're going to see as there's a bit of a touch, and then Daryl Lim touches the back, and... Did I die? Did the stream die?
No.
What's happening?
Huh?
I got nothing.
Continue on, we've got looking on with Lucas Marshall is coming through the end of sector 1. There's a bit of kind of clip went on further back, and it looks like the safety car has come out. So a little bit too much going on for the liking of the stewards, and they've decided to neutralize the race with quite a few changes out there. Damiano Turcolini has taken the lead of this race ahead of Michael Babb, and Alex Pascal, dear, Parker has, I assume, forgotten to brake, and has gotten a bit caught out from the variable speed under the virtual safety car, and has subsequently spun out. So is now Pascal Armstrong from Marshall. Then we have Lim, Vintner, Jusman, Piper, Sakanias, and Oliver, the top 10. So plenty has transpired. We will just take a moment to check over and make sure things are carrying out okay. But it looks like there's been quite a few drivers who've been caught out further back, including Eason, Laffery, Bishop, and Nathan Monk. So now it would be a true last to first if he's able to pull it off, and it looks like perhaps Beaton, Mateen, and Rad have gotten involved in a little bit as well. So it looks like we might be getting ready to restart this race very, very shortly, with Turcolini leading a Porsche 1-2 right now. It must have been a mega start, but then again, it looks like Babb and Jusman got a bit caught up together, so that could have allowed Turcolini to run on through. Looks like we're going to continue under safety car for a little bit longer just to let the drivers work things out. But no, Turcolini does go now, so they are back racing again. And it's going to be Turcolini into turn 1. He's got a good launch, so he'll be able to run away nice and clean. Bishop comes into the pits to repair that damage. We'll get a replay of that in short order, but for the moment we'll carry on as the 216 has gone around at turn 1. That is Parker there, who was in P12 doing reasonably well, has unfortunately fallen foul of turn 1 in these conditions, as meanwhile it looks like Marshall has gotten through on Pascal Armstrong, who's struggling a little bit in that Honda. The Honda looks quite loose right now, and he's going to be under a bit of pressure from Lim and Jusman behind. Jusman will be looking to bounce back after a tough start, getting escorted wide by Michael Babb on the race start, despite a very good launch, as the 49 has gone around. That's beaten, so quite a few drivers getting caught out by these very tricky conditions. It looks like it will ease up in about half an hour, as that is Wafri, who's around the number 30. So yeah, plenty of drivers having issues as Pascal Armstrong runs onto the gravel. That could open the door for Daryl Lim to try and get through into the Melbourne hairpin. As we continue watching on with Babby now, it looks like Lim's still a long way back. So Pascal Armstrong's little mistake is not punished in any way, shape or form for the moment. As we now look on with Ahmad Jusman, who's again fallen back, unlucky, I believe. He was on the outside, looked like he was in a position to potentially hold P2, but Babby managed to get through. As in half an hour now, the rain's gonna stop. Oh dear, okay. Yep, so clear in 30, as Diabols has rightly pointed out in chat. And we now have a much more complex race on our hands, as it does seem like, oh dear, that's wide from Daryl Lim, and he nearly loses. That's going to allow Jusman to try and get through as we run through Starkey's bridge. He's going to have the outside line, gets loose himself. Can he hold on to it? He's going to have to slow it down and be very, very careful rejoining the track, and he does so. That's a very good save from Ahmad Jusman, but it has cost him the position to Piper and potentially Sakanius as well. But he manages to stay ahead of Sakanius with a little bit of rubbing, but as we know, rubbing is racing. So yeah, it is very difficult out there. It's going to be even more difficult depending on what happens later with the weather, as it could ease up and allow many things to happen. As we now look on Ben Oliver and Ben Vintner, as Oliver goes very, very deep trying to defend against Vintner. And is Vintner going to get the exit, or is it going to be David Barker, who's come from a quali ban? Is he going to go for a move into the Melbourne hairpin? He'd be very brave, and he's going to do it. That's a late send, and that was always going to happen. That was too little too late for David Barker, and he has been I think rightfully spun around as a result of that from his own actions there. So he'll have to make a lot of moves once again, but fortunately for him, plenty of other drivers are making much the same mistake, as he is just at very different parts of the circuit. It's a very interesting race so far. Lots of little accidents have been happening. But here we've got John Rad on the exit of turn 1, getting through on Tanner, who's just been bogged down a little bit on the exit. Now here is Nathan Monks, who is continuing to find his way up the field in the winning Blue Angels Aston Martin, and has got Mateen all over the back of him by the looks of it. Is that Mateen? I think it might be Mateen. I'm not too sure. Looks like he's managed to break clear a little bit. Is now starting to chase after Gamble and Tanner up ahead of him.
I return. I'm back. I apologize, everyone. Glenn, Lexi, and chat.
No worries. Oh dear, as Gamble has gone around there on the exit of Coppice. Very easy to do, and that's caused a bit of a gaggle behind. There's another car that's gone off. That might be it's someone else. Probably Parker, based on the fact that it's just been returned to pits and yeah, left the lobby as well. As oh dear, there's another car off there, the orange McLaren. It's gone off there, and seems like Monks is holding on to what looks to be P12 now, with Barker right behind. So Barker's made quite a few moves and is now looking to get back ahead of Nathan Monks after the little off for Barker earlier.
So lots changed since I have been gone. I believe that orange McLaren would potentially be John Rad that was off, if that's that one, just 2 cars ahead of Eden. Yeah, so we got Marshall P3. It looks like a few people have dropped down. I heard safety car before everything went a bit haywire for me, so sounds like it was a little bit spicy, as we predicted.
Yes, very much so. There was plenty of accidents that went on at the first few corners, and we haven't seen anything yet, but we can assume that it was quite hectic based on the fact that, yes, the safety car was in fact called and things had been neutralised. But there was a bit of an incident under safety car with driver getting... missing their braking point under safety car and not quite adapting to the speed and time before crashing into the back of Alex Pascal Armstrong.
Oh no, that's no good. That might come with a bit of a whack. We've got a car in the back going pretty slow. That is Wefry in the number 30 Ferrari. Not sure what that is. Those guys are quite a ways away from our main pack, but we already see quite a few gaps forming up between different drivers in the field. But we've got on board with Piper with Jasmine just behind. It's about... I was going to say that's less than half a second for sure. Jasmine following along, getting all the way out, using all that pit lane to widen out the corner, but a little bit deep. It's a bit tricky, through there in the wet, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's been very, very tricky, very slippery, and they haven't been able to do a whole lot of... It's in the background, it's a car going off. That was Scanius. See if he's managed to hold on to it. Looks like he has, but he's lost the position to Vintner, so drops down to P8. Meanwhile, continue to look on with Benjamin Piper, who's under pressure from Jasmine. Runs a little bit wide going through McLean's, and that's going to allow Jasmine to close in ever more as John Rad picks up a 10-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 1. So that's a little bit of salt to the wounds for John Rad, who's down in P14.
Yeah, but I don't think, as we have a yellow flag, the number 213... Tanner. It's too much race to go still. Jasmine has a lot of overspeed, and Piper just catching a little bit of grass. He's going to lose out majorly there as Jasmine goes down the inside. It is a bit deep, though. Benjamin Piper, the door is back open again, and I think he might... they're going to still be side by side, and Jasmine may have the position here if he wants to take it, but he goes a bit deep again, and they come together, and he's around, and Piper comes out the better for it. That was just a little bit yucky. You always have to leave the space, but we're getting a bit of a replay here. I presume this is of lap 1 of John Red just catching the tail. Oh my, that's
that is a bit of a gaggle.
Yeah.
I'm
all caught up now.
Pretty clear to see why there was a safety car from that incident. As Babby's picked up the pace now and is starting to close in on Damiano Turcolini out front. So 1.2 seconds separating the two Porsches at the moment. As we get a quick glimpse of Blake's favourite car as we switch back to a more... standard livery from Damiano Turcolini, the Relaxmore Racing 844 Porsche.
Hurry up, Damiano. Go faster so that Michael Babb isn't in the shot.
Wow, you must really love that livery, Blake.
Oh my God.
I reckon we should just have a little camera in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, just focusing on Michael Babb. The Babby cam.
Babby cam. Oh my God. Yeah, we should hook up the voice to it so we can hear what's the white stuff. It's
just one of those like Cadbury bubble dairy milks, like one of those like Aero chocolate bars.
The problem, like, I'm leaning into this for sure, but like because I bring it up every time. Glenn loves to rub it in my face, and Michael Babb, I'm sure he's having an absolute laugh.
He'll be loving it.
It's the absolute intent of the livery, but it is what it is. If he wasn't so good, we probably wouldn't see it so much either.
Yeah, even Aiden Squires is loving it. He can't even believe his eyes at how beautiful it is, how majestic the Bin Chicken Racing livery is.
Yeah. Oh, it's feathers from a bin chicken. I see. But for now, that gap is a little stable. Michael Babb was bringing it closer, but it is back up about another tenth, so it's about where we were before. We have a car off at the ultimate hairpin of the race, number 49. That is Beaton. Separate from his partner in crime, Eaton. They normally, for some strange happenstance, there is yellow flags everywhere, racing side by side throughout the series. But the number 20 car has come.
That's Pascal Armstrong. Ooh,
Pascal
dear.
Armstrong.
And Beaton as well. Yeah, Beaton still stuck down there.
That was big time hood openage, if you will. Yeah, we're seeing.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that front end is smashed.
I wonder if they're having a bit of issues because they're kind of just like beached there, and you can't really get beached in ACC proper. So we'll see. That's return to Garrett.
Too much damage to really like get that thing moving, most likely.
We'll see what they decide to do with the rest of their race, but that did look like a big incident for sure.
Yes, certainly. Well, things are slowly starting to settle themselves out in terms of the class structure. We're seeing mostly pros and silvers towards the front end of the field, with the odd pro sprinkled in there. Justman doing a nice job recovering from a bit of contact with Babby at the start of this race at turn 1. Pascal Armstrong was up there before his incident, and then looking at the other pros of Barker and Monks, who have been involved in a few incidents themselves, so that's why they're a bit further down, alongside the fact that they started quite literally last row of the grid.
Yeah, has Monks dropped down a little bit from where he was before?
Yes, that is the case. I assume there's been some contact somewhere that has made him fall down. There's been a lot going on, so I haven't been able to keep track of absolutely everything that's been going on, but yes, he was up around P13 before and is now down in P17.
Okay. Well, interesting to note, I believe we started this race with about 22 or 23
22 cars, and
22, and we have 20. I believe Beaton, sorry, just dropped out after that incident we just mentioned, as Damiano is setting a purple time, if you do not mind, putting a big gap actually onto Michael Babb, so he's going to have to open up some more of those holes for a bit more aero if he wants to catch up, if you catch my drift.
Yes, it needs to turn that aero bar into a slice of Swiss cheese.
Oh God, I don't like any of this imagery, but we are getting a replay.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's Barker, and unfortunately the space wasn't quite given, I don't think, from Monks.
Well, not to be of offense to Barker, but I can see where he's picked up his quality ban.
Yeah, I sort of said that, and I was like,
that's 15 seconds for another instance, I believe. That from lap 3, that would have been at the Melbourne hairpin, the 3 wide moment at the Melbourne hairpin. So he's going to pick up another invoice for this, and he's going to bring himself even closer to another quality ban and probably a race ban with it.
But yeah, I think I need to. I sort of went on to Monks for that one. I need to see that one more proper to pass my ban hammer on him, but it's not a good look for anybody there.
As it looks like Barker's actually been involved in another incident. He's dropped down to P16. He was P14, P13 before. He's now back around where Monks is, so those two are inseparable at the moment. And here we go. Oh, yep, drive through. So, yep. Barker's getting the big stick now.
Is that for the incident we just saw?
Yes.
Lap 7?
Yep, yeah. Lap 7 was when that incident happened. So the stewards have taken a very dim view of David Barker's actions there, and presumably a combination of incidents has led to that decision as well.
I don't know if they're going to look particularly favourably upon you when you start the race with a quali ban either. It's you're building a house on sand for sure. Unfortunately, maybe just have to go back to the drawing board about how he's approaching some of these interactions with other cars. But he's already in the pits serving that one. As we do have a car going slow again, the number 26, which is actually Benjamin Piper in P4, so that's a little bit spicy.
Yes, indeed. So we've seen Pascal Armstrong pick up the fastest lap. He's picking up speed again as taking some time to recover from his little incident, and is now on the back of Ben Oliver, looking to move further up the field, as it looks like Jusman's gotten through on Piper. As we see now Piper fall down the order with his little incident that you noted before. He's falling a long way down, actually. He's dropped down to P9 from that.
Yeah, that's rough going. But yeah, Pascal Armstrong making a bit of a charge here. I think pretty clear that they have a lot of pace here with a good qualifying P5. So just going to have to work to get that back after a few incidents. Top four. That's not even top four. That 89 car is actually our last runner. Top three is well ahead of everybody else, and the top two are well ahead of Marshall in P3. So he's just kind of cruising along right now. Nothing too much to worry about, but if he wants to catch up and get a bit higher on those steps of the podium, he's going to have to put it into overdrive. But a really solid race from Jusman so far. The Pro-Am just looking pretty immaculate. Obviously, started in P2. It's probably a pretty big ask to stay there, but there's still 2/3 of the race to go. We'll see how the story unfolds.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, no, it's been a well-measured drive so far. There's been a few little errors that we've seen from Jusman, but you would expect that from a Pro-Am. And so far, I'd say, with the conditions slowly getting better, he's also improving with the conditions. And not sure where you noticed this, but yeah, about 10 minutes ago, we recognised that there's going to be reckon about probably right towards the end of this race.
Do you think, is it going to be like dry, or is it going to be greasy still?
Greasy. It will still be wet tyres, but it's going to become difficult for different reasons for these drivers with overheating.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. It'll be... this race has had everything.
Oh dears, we've had a driver return to pit lane. That's his Wafri in the number 30 is Nick Jones. Gets a little bit too deep into the S's, and that's going to allow Eaton to get through. And as we were saying with Jusman, he's just taken fastest lap with the 34.7. So track conditions are improving, but as referenced, so is Jusman.
Yeah, wow, that's no mean feat at all. There are some pretty quick operators in here. So very, very nicely done, Jusman. Just gotta keep it out of trouble as you're actually coming across people. But on board with Jones here, and he is pretty close to Eaton, who I believe he just lost his position to. Both swinging it out wide, bringing it in. Ooh, a little bit squirrely, but nothing too bad there. Staying off that curb, but not quite there yet for Jones.
Yes, we're seeing the grid size continue to dwindle as Wafri, who was caught up in a bit of an accident that we're not too sure what happened, but made him return the pits, and he's decided that can happen with these zero pit stop races. When you've had a big accident, you just fall a long way down, but there are still points to play for, so I'm sure there would be quite a few that would stick it out, but perhaps they don't see much of an appeal in constantly being laps. But yeah, it's a personal choice at the end of the day. It's what the drivers choose, and it's not a whole lot we can do to influence that. So I'm just looking at the gap towards the front, and it's about 2.1 seconds between Turcolini and Babs. So Turcolini's managed to balance that out, as we're seeing now. In 10 minutes, it's going to be light rain, and half an hour still cloudy. So I would say in about 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to see it dry out and the rain will stop.
Good shout, Glenn. Glenn just letting us know that Mateen has a really, really good chance of winning the amateur class for tonight. As has gone many times, actually, now the lone runner in the class, I do think there is a significantly good chance that Mateen will bring that home.
Well, now you've jinxed it.
I absolutely have. But to be fair, okay, I was saying on the Discord recently, most of my curses lately have just been making people come into pits when I say that something interesting is about to happen, or like what they might do with their strategy, and it makes my point like totally null and void. So that'll be fine. It's fine.
Well, I mean, it's a bit difficult to come into the pits in a non-pit stop race, but it's still possible. As we see Nick Jones run wide, and that's going to allow Rad to get through. But Rad does have that 10-second penalty looming over him, so we'll need to put the foot down for the next 37 minutes and try to break clear.
Yeah, he needs to do everything he can to get as far off the road as possible, but Jones already right up the back of the wing of Rad, and he's piling the pressure on here. Both looking a little bit messy down through, I don't know my track map, I don't remember what that corner's called. Is that McLean's?
McLean's is the corner before that's Coppice.
Dang!
Or Coppice, or however you pronounce it.
Capiche.
Yeah, whatever.
But not quite there. Not quite the speed there for Jones through the chicane. And John Rad is going to hold on, I believe, for this lap as they come through the penultimate corner. But Tanner, pretty racy operator, is looming in the background. And an even racier operator in Nathan Monks back there. So we'll see if he has anything to say about it. I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen Monks coming up a bit faster than this, but perhaps a bigger gap than I was privy to after some of those incidents.
Indeed. Notification on the weather, 10 minutes.
10 minutes until no rain. So John Rad copying a 15-second penalty. He's got 25 seconds to his name. That is tough. That's rough. That's... Yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
Yep, that is hard to come back from for Rad, that's for sure. But if you've been a naughty boy like that, you probably earned the penalties. As Vintner's dropping down the order, he's had a bit of an error in the number 27, and we'll see where he shapes out in the order. He's in P8, just ahead of Piper, but that's moved Sakani as Pascal Armstrong Oliver up in the order.
News on the podium front, Michael Babb is about a second away from Damiano. Lucas Marshall not quite matching that pace though. He's fallen back to 3.7 with Jasmine 6.6 behind if he wanted to try and challenge for that final step of the podium. So these guys could be on in a lap or two if Michael Babb can keep up this form.
Yeah, Turkling will be sweating seeing such a beautiful livery close up to his.
I like Damiano's like little cat thing that's like part of his brand.
The Yamato Transports, I believe that is.
Oh, it's like an actual thing. I thought it was his thing. Oh.
It's a moving company sort of thing in Japan. You'll see it. You'll see the logo pretty much everywhere you go.
In Japan?
Yeah. Because you can. Because
never seen it in my life.
For tourists, you can use a baggage transfer system to move your like heavy suitcases from one hotel to another, or you can use it simply as just a regular moving service. As we see, what's happened to Vintner, and he gets on the curb, and can he save it? Well, he's drifting a fair bit, but drifting for too long.
It looked almost beautiful. It was almost masterful, and then. It just looks so wet, though. I'm just doing a good job waiting for those cars to get by, then back on the track and back at it for Benny Vintner. It's actually still above where he qualified. He hasn't had the hottest qualifying, but he's always been quite consistent this season, just steadily moving up. So it was a similar thing, a similar story this race. We've still got half the race to go, so we'll see what he can do, what moves he can make. But yeah, unfortunate incident for him there. But these guys, it's heating up. It's drying up. It's heating up.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, when the rain stops, it will certainly heat up a little bit. Although 5:30 p.m., I don't think it would heat up too much from here. But this battle certainly can.
As Nathan Monks has actually gotten past Nick Jones, sorry, I'm just assuming that name. And he's got Tanner on the mind, that's for sure, as we see the return of the pink triangle, if you will, livery for the Aston Martin.
Yes, it is a very meticulously placed triangle there on the back of the Winnie Blue Angels. Aston Martin is he's now closing in on Tanner and looking to make his move up into P14.
I just want to say it actually is Nick Jones. I did get that right, but that was an assumption based on someone I knew in real life. So lucky break for me there. But riding, this is Murray Snow Cam, if you're not familiar.
Ah, yeah, the chase cam, beautiful.
Chase Cam.
Love it.
Lucas Marshall setting a fastest lap, but then immediately pipped by Jusman, who's chasing him down. So these guys speeding up just a little bit. But I think this is, I believe this is Tim Goeb's handiwork. It's his signature, it's his flair, if you will, on the back of that one.
Certainly got flair, that's for sure. But we'll see what Monks can do on the McLaren. He's had a bit of an up and down race. Has Monks, he started right at the back, moved up a few positions, then got caught up in a few incidents, and is now not quite at the pace that you probably want, but still slowly clawing his way back up. And it's going to be interesting to see how he goes when this rain stops, which could stop in about 5 to 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, it's not the easiest track to get moves done here, but we're seeing plenty of mistakes for him to capitalize on. But as he gets up the order, it's going to be harder to. Why do I even try? Harder to force people to make mistakes as he gets to the more experienced runners, and Tanner immediately goes off before I even finish my sentence.
It's the power of a commentator.
Yeah. I didn't ask for this power. It's just been thrust upon me.
If you asked to become a commentator, you asked for the commentator's cursing power.
It's so good how timely it is, how comedic it is.
No, if it wasn't comedic in its timing, then what would be the point of it? And speaking of timing, it is now less than a second in timing between Turkley and Bab, and it still is at the sector split just. Whew.
And also, big shout to Jasmine, who's set another fastest lap, to back-to-back fastest laps for Jasmine. Really finding their footing as this track is getting a little bit drier. Thurkley is holding off Michael Babb for the moment, but it's calming down slowly but surely. Marshall actually also has gained about 4/10 onto Babb, so we might be seeing everyone just bringing it closer to Thurkley. He's going to have to start looking in his mirrors soon.
Yes, indeed. It'll be tricky to see, although, now 1.6 seconds between Turkley and Babb. So, yeah.
That one wasn't comedic. See, sometimes it's not comedic and it's just a little...
It's just a bit sad.
It's sad. I agree.
But,
let's go Marshall. Marshall's 2.8 now. He's finding the pace, that's for sure. But I guess that's also Bab falling off the back of Thurkley a bit there. But if he's going to keep...
It'll be more than 3 seconds as they cross the line now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, still 2.8. There you go.
All right.
We'll maintain that for a bit, and Jusman continues his fine form in the drying conditions. A 134 flat, so getting quicker out there, but track still has plenty of opportunity to improve as the rain is nearly stopped.
Easing off pretty significantly. Most of that's the spray from Thurkley, so you get excited as they're coming closer together. That is, you were just one sector too early because Marshall is now about 2.8 back from Bab. Come on, guys. Close together, let's have some battles.
Well, I mean, I did say at the start of this race there wouldn't be any pit stops or any pit stop fighting, but given that it's drying out, well, the rain's stopping so soon, and there's still 19 drivers out there who are clearing water, there is a chance we could see a little bit of green track right at the end of this race.
We've got a slow car. Is that 26?
That's Piper. That's Piper in the 26.
Rough go.
He's dropped down behind Eaton by the looks of it.
Yeah, because that's Monks, and I think Lim in front of Monks. Yeah, good shout. That's rough. Mercedes is, I feel like, a bit of a handful normally. I wouldn't really want to be behind the wheel of that thing in the wet.
Yeah, look, it's not the tightest of cars, as did mention also earlier that Marshall to Bab would increase back out to 3 seconds, and it just has. So we're hovering right on that 3 second marker as Xavier Eaton picks up a 15-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 4.
That's interesting. Didn't we see a lap 7 penalty for Barker? They've gone back to that one, or have they just been deciding it the whole time?
They've probably been deliberate over it, but with the one for Barker, because it was shown on broadcast and they could see it then and there, they probably came to a very swift decision on that one, just because of how topical it was then. But there'll probably be a few that they've got to sift through.
Yeah, fair. Just looking ahead, though, we saw 3 cars very, very close together. John Rad, by the timing, is just 1/10 behind Mateen. And we'll see what they actually are, but we're actually going to see... Oh, boy.
It's going to be a little bit of right-hand damage, but won't be awful for Piper overall, I don't think. It will just be a little bit tricky for him for a little bit.
Yeah. Piper saying thank you, Sand, for that one. Breaking all that momentum. John Rad has actually gotten past Mateen as we just watched that replay. About 2/10 between them now. But John Rad carrying that extra 25 seconds of baggage, if you will, which is going to, considering those gaps, is going to drop him like all the way down to nearly the end of the grid at the moment.
Rain stopped.
Rain has stopped.
And also getting news in from the stewards that the incidents have all been caught up, so they can sit back, relax, crack open a can of beer for celebration this time, not for depressive episodes. And yeah, just they can pray that there's nothing more that happens in this race. But given the state of play right now, with the rain stopping and the track condition continuing to get better and dry out, it's going to become much trickier for these drivers to hold on to, and perhaps that can lead to some instances. Still a few drivers who are close on track. You've got Vintner 4/10 behind Oliver, Mateen, who's only 8/10 behind Rad. There's a few cars close to Piper with Lim and Monks there, and of course we've got the lead up front with Turcolini and Bab that's close with Marshall continuing to close in.
Yeah, that top 3 just ebbing and flowing a little bit. It's not... as you sort of called it before, it was kind of more just the ebb and flow of like Bab making a mistake and Marshall is there, and then when Bab puts the gap back, I don't know. We'll see what they can do. But riding aboard with Ben Oliver, with Ben Vinton, they are both Ben.
Yeah,
they are both Ben. Ben Vinton right behind him in the 27 BMW. Armin Justin setting another fastest lap with a 1:33.5, which would be... that's close. That's not too close. It's okay.
There's half an hour. There's going to be another little bit of rain, so the track may get to a point where it dries out just, and we're not going to hit that rain in that half an hour that's coming. But I mean, it's going to be another wet sighting as we go through the results at the end of this one, I would say.
Yeah, because that's like within the next 30 minutes. It's not 30 minutes away.
So when it appears, that shows that it is in 30 minutes, but since it's been there for a while, that is within the next 30 minutes. So it will come about 5 minutes after the end of this race.
Okay. All right.
As that is wide from Oliver, and that's going to allow Vintner up the inside, and because Oliver's on that curb, which is bit of a death sentence when it comes to traction, he's gotten through. Meanwhile, out front, Turcolini's dropped a bunch of pace.
Whoa, yeah, Michael Babb, half a second, and that doesn't even look like half a second anymore. On the back of Turcolini, and Lucas Marshall's not too far back there either.
Fastest lap as well.
My words, and it's 8/10. But yeah, and Jasmine just snatching that fastest lap back from Lucas Marshall. So it could be on if these guys can keep up this pace. But if Damiano slips up again like that, Michael Babb is right within striking distance to make the most of that for sure.
This is where it's going to be tricky because you're starting to see a little bit of a darker patch where the track is getting drier with the drivers carrying the cars over those areas. And it's going to overheat these tires, so they're going to have to explore parts of the track where they would never want to under normal circumstances. And that can lead to time loss, that can lead to more mistakes at a potential benefit of being able to carry more speed through some of the trickier high-speed corners that really require the tires to be in that optimum window.
These guys are also getting close to getting to lap traffic now. We've got Barker ahead. They've already passed Bishop actually in that 89 McLaren.
Yes.
We did also just see, as we were chatting about that, Tanner having a bit of an incident there, but we're looking back at what happened to Damiano. Bit of a slide, nothing too crazy, but you can't be doing that too much in P1. There's too many good drivers here that are going to capitalize on that kind of mistake, so it's brought Bab back into the fray. It is 1 second, and it's no longer 1 second, pardon myself, it's 0.7 of a second, and I think Marshall is the one to watch out for here. He's closing that gap for sure.
If these three start fighting, then Josman would be rubbing his hands together very eagerly, as we see Monks has gone around in the 81 through Coppers. That's unfortunately not been a very clean race from the 81s, so he'll look to throw this race in the bin and see what he can bring next time out.
Yeah, it's just been a bit of a difficult one. Starting from the back, it's not paid any dividends for him. He's just kind of been drowning, if you will, in the weather.
Yeah, speaking of the weather, there's a little bit of sun starting to peek out here, so that's going to make the track dry a little bit quicker and make it very interesting. It looks like Babby gets a much better run through Coppers than Turcolini can, so this opens the door potentially through the S's, but through the S's, that's a great run from Damiano Turcolini, so he's going to be clear of any challenge from the Porsche behind of Michael Babb.
Yeah, but that Aston's right there. Now I told you, don't look at Babb, look at Marshall. He's closing that gap for certain. That's definitely not 1.3 seconds. We'll see what it is as they cross the line. Going around the final corner, we are in a bit of a battle pack, battle train, whatever you like. That gap. Yeah, it's not as great. It is 1 second now. As 0.3 though for Babb, and he's really up on the gearbox of Turcolini as they go around one more time.
Jelsman's got fastest lap now with a 32.9, the first driver into the 32s in this race, and look at that line there. Look at how much drier it is where the drivers have been carrying their cars compared to the rest of the track. It may be on average a wet track, but you would dare say the racing line is certainly damp at this point.
Yeah, again, Marshall feeling comfortable there. He's closed that onto Babb, and Babb's just fallen off the back of Turcolini a little bit as we've gone through this next lap. Babb's gonna have to look forward and behind right now. There's a bit of a slide there, and that's gonna allow Lucas Marshall to get alongside, and who's gonna chicken out as they come into this chicane. It's not one that you really want to go side by side in, and Marshall's just got the speed, but holds on, and they're going to go side by side, and I don't know if that was enough room, but it wasn't. I don't know.
It's not enough for too wide there, so that's play on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not one that you really want to go too wide in, but Babb said you're going to have to work for it, mate, if you want to get around me, and Marshall's going to have another look somewhere else.
Damiano will be breathing a sigh of relief right now because he was under a bucket load of pressure from Babby, but now he's got a little bit of breathing room. But for how long?
Not long, I would say, but we've got a few different cars having a little bit of trouble.
Oh dear, the 404 and the 310, I reckon they've come together.
Yeah, it would look like it, close on the track. That's Eaton and Mateen, unfortunately.
The 213 goes around as well, so drivers are really starting to struggle potentially with tire temperature and the drying conditions. So these three out front need to be very careful as Marshall goes a little bit wide. It's starting to get a little bit more aggressive on these curbs. So yeah, it's not going to be easy out there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Thurcolini's just off the road a little bit. So these two, I don't know. I mean, Marshall's not going to get this one up. He's latched on. He's doing his death roll, if you will. But can Michael Babb withstand this pressure? It's not quite close, but we've got a blue flag ahead. That's Tanner, who's we just saw had a bit of an incident. He's out of the way nicely enough. Marshall way later on the brakes. I think he's going to be a little bit deep there. But we are looking at Mateen and Eaton, I believe this is. We'll see what happened with these guys. A little bit of the grass is not what you like, but Mateen just goes really deep and comes together anyway. So.
That's an interesting incident. Marshall's gone.
What? No, he's way down the road as well.
Marshall is has that error from Marshall has cost him the position. Has it? Has that cost him the position adjustment?
That's Justin. Justin's just improving his little race. He's been going quick, and he's in P3. He's inherited P3. Marshall.
Big mistake at the S's, and we cut away to it in a Lance Stroll fashion. Of course, can't say much about that, obviously, because it's just happens sometimes. But
that's the broadcaster's curse. As soon as you show a replay, something happens.
But wow, and yeah, Marshall's struggling. He's shot those tires.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a bit shaken, or as you said, the tires are just not quite there. But that's not great. So we're seeing that replay where he's just quite late on the brakes, and it makes him very deep, and he's just
way too late.
Big slide. That's Tanner going past. We're going to see Mateen shoot through in a moment, and yeah, there it is. Unfortunate for Marshall.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so it was Mateen and Tanner and Jusman.
Sorry. Yes, apologies. That's these guys. Can someone please hook these guys up with delivery, please and thanks. No.
Okay. Yeah, just no. But look at how dry.
That's dry.
Is.
That's dry. That's a really dry line.
Yeah, I mean it's still got a bit of water on that, but it's gonna be very tricky. Like you're gonna get to the last maybe 7 minutes of this race, to the last maybe 4 or 5 laps, and it's gonna be like you're gonna have that racing line pretty much as a green track, but the rest of the track will be pretty much damp or even greasy.
Yeah, and they're gonna be like searching for that water off the racing line, but honestly, like it's not a track that you really want to be offline for. Like it's a bit of a
roller coaster,
if you will. Yeah, like you're not really looking to be offline anyway here. But we just saw Ben Piper again off the track, just spit.
He's had a rough second half of this race as Ben Piper.
Yeah, for sure. We're about to see down in 15th, and he qualified 8th. So just really rough go for Ben Piper.
He'll blame the Mercedes for doing Mercedes things and put this one in the rack and move on, and hopefully you can get a better result next time we race, because of course got the upcoming Enduros over the next week or so, I believe.
Yes. So the Circuit of the Americas 12 hours on the 17th of May.
That would be not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Yeah. I'm also just putting a call out there while we have a small break in the action between these two, as it's not going to be very long. But any of our commentating crew who's interested in doing comms for the 12-hour, please hit me up, type a message. You got my digits. We definitely
slide into Blake's DMs, basically.
Literally, I'm inviting you, I guess. But with the current roster's looking extremely thin. Everyone's going to be doing 4 hours alone at this rate, so take that as you will.
Yes, indeed. We'll see how things pan out for the Coda 12 hours, of course. Whenever we have endurance race happening at all, or it's always a big occasion, and this will be no different. So definitely be keen to keep an eye on things, even if I can't commentate as such. But we shall see as we continue watching on with this battle between Turcolini and Bab, as Jusman is only 3.3 behind Bab right now.
Has he got the pace though? 12 minutes. It's not a super duper long time. I mean, currently that little magenta tile says yes, but it's quite a gap to close. Marshall as well, about the same distance back to him. So we'll see if he can do anything to reclaim that final step of the podium. But for now, these two just again, like locking horns the whole time. These Porsches just been very, very close together, as we see Barker in the pits. So maybe opting for some slicks. I don't know.
No, that's you sure you wouldn't opt for slicks at this point? Like,
well, you wouldn't opt for new wets either. Like,
I just wouldn't opt to pit, full stop.
That's what I mean. What's he doing? He's cleared his penalty, I guess, but it's not necessary. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit baffled by that, but we'll carry on, because, yeah, you've got a 30-second change for tyres. Barker had that, 15-second penalty for the collision on lap 3 at the Melbourne Hairpin. Just seems very strange, but either way, he's chosen to do it, and he's still stationary in the box.
Well, he cleared the penalty, so he has to have gone into the box, but has he just decided to stop racing? Which is whatever, but I'm just curious now.
Yeah, I mean, either way, we've got plenty of racing action out front, so even if he has stopped racing, it looks like he's moving in pit lane now, so there we go.
Mystery solved. But these two, 3/10, Michael Babb, Damiano Turcolini, our headline, our marquee fight. Turcolini a little bit deep there. See if Michael Babb can get a better exit and maybe make the hairs on Turcolini's neck stand up, but it's not going to be quite enough. Both a little bit of water, as Jasmine sets another fastest lap as we jump on board with the absolutely screaming Porsche 911. As they're coming downhill, send it right, send it left over this corner. You can't even see in the wet. It's a big ask to get it pulled up, get it around.
That has not been pulled up.
That has not been pulled up.
What that's going to do is you see that little McLaren in the mirror of Michael Babb there. What does it say on the mirrors? Objects that appear may be closer than they seem.
I don't think that's quite it, but the point is there, yeah. As it's looking menacingly. Michael Babb, you cannot afford to make any more mistakes like that, and it doesn't look very small anymore back there. Oh, I just love the wing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, look at the gaps now. So 1.2 between Turcolini and Babb, 1.5 between Babb and Jusman. Jusman is flying right now in these, and flying and driving right now in these conditions.
Yeah, he's lapping it up. He's absolutely loving it. And Marshall nowhere to be seen, so Jusman can just get the head down and look forward and see what he can do about these two Porsches ahead of him.
It's going to be tricky. It's not easy to make moves around here, but Jusman's in with a shot here.
Yeah, definitely. And if Michael Babb doesn't keeps together, he's going to be in for a bit of trouble. Lucas Marshall's not quite done. He's got a lot of time to make up, but he's going to have to put a few more of those purple sectors in, that's for sure.
He'd probably need to be setting 29s to be able to really challenge for any sort of podium or win here at this point for Marshall.
Probably, but we can dream.
Yes, indeed. So I think this race is going to be, for the win, it's going to be between Turcolini and Babb. Jusman's doing very well, but I don't think he's doing quite well enough to get there right at the end of this. But he's going to get mighty close.
How can you say that when it's not done and it's still wet and the tires are probably getting orange to red? Like, I kind of don't have any confidence to say anything like that. Then there's blue flag traffic ahead. It's not over till it's over. It's not over till that celebrity very poorly waves that checkered flag in the box.
What, Tim Cook just waves the flag like he's not a reptilian.
The thing is that I wasn't referencing anyone specific, but it happens so often that you had someone ready to go.
Exactly. I mean, whenever I think of a celebrity poorly waving a flag, that's the first one I think of.
But yeah, so there's blue flag. That's Nick Jones, I believe. He's
no,
he's
tucked back out.
But he's gonna put Jusman off a little bit there. As Jusman coming into T1.
Poor awareness from Jones. He could see on his like he'll have the little gaps in his bottom left-hand corner on his UI, and he would have seen that it was 1, 2, and 3 behind him.
Yeah, that's. If he could have probably stuck it in there and just gone down behind Thurcolini and then gotten out of the way again, but you need to be decisive about that decision.
Yeah, and there was too much indecision, but
yes,
that has honestly given Jusman a little bit more motivation here, because he's looked pretty quick on this lap.
Just getting word in from my sources. He's picking up about 0.7 of a second per lap on these guys ahead, which is absurd. We've got a Pro-Am driver chasing down some of the best of this split. Oh, Babby just a little bit wide there. And it's not over. It's not over, Lexi.
It is so over. It has never been more over than it is now.
Not even over, and we've got more blue flag traffic ahead. It's so not over.
It is the most over it has ever been.
Are you trying? Are you reverse cursing? I don't understand what's happening now. Marshall nowhere to be seen right now. 6 seconds behind Jusman, but Jusman everywhere to be seen in the mirrors of Michael Babb. It's 0.6, Babb 0.7 to Thurcolini. It's not over.
Well, I mean, for one thing, it seems like Babby's been picking up a lot of insightful advice in his TeamSpeak channel. So he's got plenty of comrades rallying behind him. But yes, it's still very much a game between Thurcolini and Babb. Jusman would need to make a clean, well-executed move to be able to get through. Although here we have one of the first blue flags, and that is Gamble. And it looks like Gamble's going to let them through nice and cleanly. So good awareness from Gamble.
Yeah, but Babb coming off the better of it. He's got overspeed here, and he's going to look to the inside, and Thurcolini is going to try and cut him off on the inside. He's going to make Babb go the long way around, and these two come together as they turn. I think Thurcolini just a little bit deeper than Justin, just touches the back of Babb, and he's turned him around. It's not over, but it's so over for Justin. Oh no!
It is now completely over. It is the most over. Yes,
Marshall's on the podium now.
Yep, drive-thrus are coming everywhere. Pascal Armstrong, Jones. I would suspect Jusman will pick up a penalty for that. Bit clumsy between Thurcolini and Babb, I feel. I feel like Babb around the outside wasn't willing to give Thurcolini room on the inside, but Babb never really had authority over the corner. It was Thurcolini's corner to hold, and yeah, a little bit of contact in Jusman. Just couldn't back out in time. That's the characteristics of the Melbourne hairpin. And yeah, so that will be a penalty coming Jusman's way. And dare say Damiano Thurcolini is now well set to take this win.
Do you think Thurcolini is faultless there?
Yes. He had authority over the corner. It's hard to really say from the angle, but it didn't look like he went particularly deep. From what I could judge, it looks like Babb just
turned into harshly.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't think there's anything that you could really call between those two at all. It was just a case of two drivers who wanted the same real estate, fighting really close and hard, and that's fair enough. Jusman, on the other hand, just couldn't back out in time, and that will unfortunately be most likely a 5, if not a 10-second penalty.
All right. We shall see.
15 seconds.
That was quick. Yeah.
Yeah, given the penalties have been a lot stricter tonight, I guess that shouldn't really surprise me that it's been a 15-second penalty, but yeah, that is big, and that would drop him down to around about P4, P5.
Well, I will concede. I think it's over at this point.
Well and truly over.
So
you didn't listen to me. Come on.
What do you mean? It wasn't even over. So much just happened. Marshall's back on the podium. Marshall's going to finish second.
Yes, but
Out of nowhere.
you see,
We weren't even talking. Like, I was talking about Marshall because he's my mate, but
well, you see, Turcolini's still leading this race. So from my perspective,
it's over. And you were right.
Nothing ever happens.
Oh boy. Oh boysies.
Although Jasmine's just starting to pick up the pace a little bit here. Not saying you should go for the move, but go for the move. Go on.
I mean, I don't. He could put 15 seconds between. You can put 15 seconds on in one lap. It's fine.
Surely. Go.
I mean, Daviana could have a moment. Like, it is literally not over till it's over. It is interesting though.
I think the thing that's complicating this though is Marshall and Bab still being within that 15-second range.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really do anything, even in this imaginary world where Jasmine puts 15 seconds on Turcolini. Like, unless Turcolini spins out. I mean, they're very close. Jasmine, I'm touching the wood that I can here. Jasmine could hit Turcolini. Oh, I shouldn't even
entertain it. Don't even entertain it.
Like, I don't know. Like, if you're dating Honors, you just let him go by, so you don't even risk it.
Yeah. I think at this point, like, it's gonna be P4 for Jasmine, so it is what it is.
I mean, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you're dating, like, you want to come across the line first. None of this like win after the penalties nonsense. And I mean, he's pretty close. It should be pretty okay.
Yes, indeed. But we're going to come up.
I'm holding my breath.
We're going to come up now to the Melbourne hairpin, and we'll make our way around to Goddard. Jasmine, great race from him, but with that penalty, it won't be enough. He does have a look to the inside, trying to scare Turcolini, but it's going to be Damiano Turcolini with a great drive. And as much as Jasmine's going to try and get alongside, it's not going to be enough. And Damiano wins at Donington for round 6 of the Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. Jasmine crosses the line in second, but he will drop to P4 with Marshall and Bab rounding out the podium in what has been a thoroughly entertaining Donington race, given the circumstances.
Someone we have not even laid eyes on, I don't think, this entire race. George Saikanias taking out what will be P5, and Benny Vintner a little bit down the road there, just coming around the last corner now in that Sofa King slow BMW. It's, I mean, he still finished ahead of where he qualified. It was a bit of an up and down race.
How crazy this race was. Like, really, the only driver there that didn't really make a mistake, like a certified error, was our race winner.
Pretty much. And I mean, yeah, the results agree with the hypothesis.
Although I will say, Sakanias, fantastic job in P5, although we did see Sakanias have a bit of an off, but still, to finish P5 there, very solid given the conditions.
He qualified 9th as well, so moving up pretty nicely there. But so Oliver finishing P7, Pascal Armstrong 8th, John Rad, I think that was a bit of a provisional. He still had a penalty to go, and we'll get the rest as we look over the results. But a interesting race that one was. It was not over until it was over.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll take a look at some results very soon, as we now have the results here. So it's Damiano out front, winning by 5.7 seconds over Marshall and Bab, with Jusmin and Sicanius rounding out your top 5. We'll look at some silver class standings, and it was Bab from Sicanius, Oliver, Bishop and Piper. Pro-Ams, it was Jusmin, Pascal Armstrong, Rad, Lim and Gamble. And the Ams, Mateen was the last one there, and Waffrey unfortunately dropped it up pretty early.
Glenn, with the premonition that Mateen would win his class. It's, everyone, round of applause for Glenn Germain. Who would be your driver of the day? Who was the performance of the day for you, Lexi?
Performer of the day. It's hard to really pick one because
Glenn, the Canadian guy.
Glenn's got his he's got his preferences, but it's hard to really say. I mean, had Jusmin not had his little error, it probably would have been him, but it's really hard to look past Damiano. He had to withstand a lot of pressure. He made a great start, P3 up to P1, and he stayed there the full race. And from my assessment, was the only driver who was error-free that whole race.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think sometimes we shy away a little bit from the race winner because it feels a bit obvious, but I think that's a really, really good assessment. Everyone down this list, there was something that we saw, or we didn't see, but we saw the yellow flag. Damiano, I think, had like one little bit of a slide at one point, which who wouldn't? And yeah, it's allowed him to just take that home. So I think that's Damiano's second win. So big congrats to Damiano. I believe his first one actually came this season as well. So big season for Damiano.
Huge. And just a brief shout out to Babby. I think Babby was probably the next cleanest driver and probably deserved to finish second in the end. It was unfortunate that he got caught up in the incident with Justin. But yeah, like, it was dicey on the start. It probably wasn't the best start from him. But for the rest of the race, he was pretty clean and consistent. It was probably the fast, overall the most consistent driver on the track in terms of overall speed. But yeah, it was just ebbed and flowed so much.
Well, that's going to bring us to a close for Wednesday night's action and Split Green in particular. It's been lovely to have you all here. Thank you very much for watching. Lexi, thank you so much for joining me in the booth. Thanks to Glenn and the stewards and our race director for tonight. And my name is Blake, and I'll see you later.
Thank you all very much.